Was this episode 20 of our podcast that we've been doing together?
Take 27, I believe. This is 7 months in the works, dude. Have you told people about that?
I don't know if I'm sure that I've like gave a little bit of the spiel of what it is, but for the sake of this podcast, we should probably run back through it.
Yeah. So we were supposed to do a podcast in, was it June at Born Free?
Yeah. Well, I was in town and I was already, we set it up to go do for me to be on Dustin's LFG's podcast
At my house.
At your house, and then me and you were going to podcast afterwards.
Yep.
Back to back like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was my third podcast that day.
Yeah, he'd done, I think it was Speed Kings and Built Well that day.
I did Frank Ball Jr., the tattoo guy, and then I did Built Well, and then I came to his house and was on Dustin's podcast.
And that was a 2 hour deal.
Yeah. That was Dude Getters.
Dude Getters, yeah. And that was, neither of us were drinking because we just weren't. And then
felt awkward to do it.
Yeah.
So then we're all hanging out. Dustin goes home and he's like setting up the stuff, and I'm like, this dude is tired. Like, I can tell. You know what I mean? Like, you've been riding all day. You're about to do podcast number 3.
My bike just fell over your wife's seat.
That was funny. We were, about 5 minutes after him getting there. And that was the first time we'd really, like, hung out. We chopped it up at Born Free a little bit. But he'd been at the house for, like, 5 minutes, and my neighbor comes up, and he knocks on the door. And I'm like, who ever knocks on my door?
Right.
I think, what the fuck's going on here? And I look, he's like, yo, dude, your bike just fell out here. And I'm like, my bike fell? And Jason's like, nope, that's mine. Just up off the couch, dude. It's like one with Shannon's Jeep. It's just made.
The Jeep broke the bike's fall, but yeah, I was like, fuck me, man. Like I just had my kickstand was bent on the FXR frame, so putting all my shit on it, it was just causing so much weight, and it was heavy. Twisting the bottom frame rail where the kickstand was welded on. So, when it tipped over at his place, that was when it was just like my kickstand was like straight out. Yeah. Like, so if your bike
90 degrees.
Yeah. So I think we put on an ammo can in your garage.
I had like a little 7.62 ammo
prop
can
it up.
Something.
Yeah. So I was like, I'd have to find a curb or some shit to park the bike on from that point out. So, but I was on my way to NorCal to get a new kickstand block welded on because everybody was at X Games. All the people I knew in
could help you out down
LA were at X Games, and they're like, oh, well, I'm here till Monday. And I was like, I'm trying to get the fuck out of here.
I'm trying to go.
But no, we hung out at your house, and we ended up walking across the street, getting a bottle of Buffalo Trace, and we polished it off and talked about everything under the sun and never turned microphones on. And then
that was it. Then we became friends. That was like kind of what happened. Like, we were sitting in my
bottle of Buffalo Trace will do it. It's like a shortcut, you know?
It was a cheat code. Exactly. Like, all right, so we're going to get down to this right now. But it was funny because we were sitting at my dining room table. And like before, we were just going, just rolling. Before you knew it, like the bottle was gone. Yeah. And then Shannon comes downstairs at like 4:30 in the morning. She's like, I thought you guys were doing a podcast. We were like, like nobody's talking good anymore. I'm like, yeah, that was fun though.
Got postponed.
Yeah. So we didn't do it that time.
Yeah. And then, well, I mean, like we talked about maybe doing something in Sturgis, but then you were busy with the show and everything, and just, first time at Sturgis, so kind of taking it all in. I really don't like doing podcasts at events because it's like, imagine like you're in Sturgis this year, and you break away to go have lunch or go see something real quick. You're always thinking about what you're missing. Man, I should probably get back to where I was as dad or this. Like so when you peel someone away to do a podcast, I don't feel like you have their undivided attention.
The commitment.
They're already thinking about what they have going on.
Or I wonder what they're doing. I wonder if so-and-so's in town yet,
FOMO.
I did one with Trent, and it was at like 8 in the morning. Yeah. Like, it had to be that early though. But that was the only way to do it. And he thought I was full of shit too, because I texted him at like midnight the night before. I'm like, all right, dude, 8 tomorrow, I'll see you there. And he's like, yeah, sure you will. And he comes walking up at like 7:45 with his coffee, and I'm like hungover, ready to go. But that's the only way to do it, and that's not convenient. You know? Nobody wants to get up that fucking early and do it. But.
Yeah. I mean, these things are like all the different nuances of how you want to do your podcast. I mean, they all come from trial and error. Like, all right, well, this was a grand idea that just I didn't quite get it, what I wanted out of it. Like this weekend, like I was expecting to maybe get 5 podcasts being at Cowboy Harley, but there was so much going on that I felt guilty trying to peel someone away to go, hey, let's go talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's that event stuff. You know what I mean?
And like you said, like it's their mind's not going to be into it. You're not going to get that real conversation because they're going to be thinking about like they're going to hear Cruzy out there doing burnouts and be like,
Yeah.
So this was fun.
Do some of this. Well, I mean, you can have a conversation wherever, but then to have like a curated space where it's all your stuff, that kind of, you know.
Well, yeah, that's the difference between a podcast and just every other conversations. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
But the person you're talking to, it's different for them because now they're being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a thing. So they're like, they got to prepare for that, but they don't really prepare for just a random conversation that ends up becoming a 4-hour long conversation at a kitchen table,
Right.
Or you know, at said place or whatever. So it's just like what they feel like it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I said, "Hey, you want to come over to my house and just talk?" and you're like, "No, man,
What do you mean?
fuck?
Yeah.
It's gay."
fucking lame.
Well, hey, you want to come to my house to a podcast?
Yeah.
You start throwing the podcast word around, and
synonyms, yeah.
people
Yeah.
want to show up all of a sudden. Like guys are shaving, they're doing their hair, like they're ready. I got a couple guys that wear fucking
Sunday's
outfits. These
best, yeah.
things, like, yeah. I'm like, all right, bro. It's still just me and
You
you.
do video or just audio?
I got like
Yeah.
18 followers, bro. Like, chill.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
It's not considered.
yeah. When dudes are like, you know, sometimes I can't always do like video just on the run on the road, and I could tell they get kind of disappointed. Like, oh man, I thought we were gonna do a video, and I'm like, you arrogant fuck, dude. You just really want to be on camera, like.
Yep.
I love not doing them. I love just doing a podcast with no video. It's just like doing it. It's like it's less that you got to worry about and deal with.
Right.
I was gonna say there's like a little bit. I don't want to say less pressure, but there's definitely less pressure like on the guest because there's a couple guys that I've had come on and we're trying. And I do like my ads in between. Like I'll fucking run it. And
You
then
want to
people
do
are
it right
like,
now just to make you.
Oh, people are like,
Pause
what?
it.
Like all this just got super serious, and then they get like nervous and they're staring at the camera, and I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
bring
hey,
it back, dude.
come back.
Like it's
Yeah.
okay. There's
I've seen people like they shake a lot. I've seen them like kind of get a little Alzheimer's. What is not Alzheimer's? A little
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's. A little Michael J
Alzheimer's.
going on.
They had Alzheimer's. They'd be forgetting to be there.
Yeah, it's different for everybody, but you know, when people are like, "Oh man, you're talking too much," like when it used to be the audio days back when it was the only way you could like catch it, you would see how nervous they were, and so you would try to talk for them to kind of let that nerves kind of pass and them to get comfortable. But it's like something that you can't get that through just the audio listen. It just sounds like Jason's like really wanting
Just
to talk.
rambling. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, this
You
guy
know.
likes to hear himself talk. But
Yeah.
you're like, no, I'm trying to get this guy to
wanting to
warm
learn
up.
that.
Like
Yeah.
the 4 beers in him haven't gotten him there. So now I gotta coach this guy through this conversation
Exactly.
I'm having right now.
Trying to get him to second base.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there you go.
You're trying to get him
Lighten up a
there.
little bit.
Yeah, it's tough. But
Well, Taylor, Shifter Crew, Gabe, Law Tigers, thank you guys for coming out.
Thanks for having
and
us.
Having us, man.
thanks for bringing me out there to y'all's
Fuck yeah.
neck of the woods. I feel like fuck it, you know, return the favor. You know, so but I'm glad you guys are here, man. I'm excited for you to kind of, you know, not just be here and check out the podcast and be a part of it, but you know, see our bike night and see what it's about and all that other, you know, rad shit. So
yeah, I'm stoked, man.
I'm churching it up. It's
Yeah.
probably mad like normal tomorrow. Like it's not even gonna be that wild.
Man, what's with this rain?
Yeah,
I'm in
whatever.
Texas,
it's
dude.
like a
If-
snapshot of the scene out here, which is, you know,
That's what everybody was like.
check it
How long are you going to Texas for? I was like 2.5 days. Just going to
it's
bike
like,
night. Everybody's like, that's the coolest thing I ever heard. Just going out there. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's fucking sick.
Scouting bike
Like-
nights.
But no, I'm stoked, man. I've been hearing about it for like years.
Yeah.
The T-Bar Tuesday. So I'm like, all right, go out here and see this.
I was
You
telling
know?
Taylor earlier, I keep hearing Titty Bar Tuesday. Like, no, it's T-Bar Tuesday.
T-Bar Tuesday.
I just want to hear it
Titty
or
Bar
what it is.
Tuesday.
No,
Suggested
there are no
about it.
girls that are bike night, dude.
I do. It's a bike night after all, you know?
And the girls that do come to our bike night, they're, I mean,
Be nice.
they're homies. I don't know, like they're homies. I mean,
Yeah. That's what it is.
they're not like, I mean, they're just like girls. Like there's a couple girls that ride, and our bartender, she's got one leg. She's pretty cool.
No shit.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She's
Bartender's got one leg.
yeah,
She's got stories.
Shit.
got it taken off riding a motorcycle.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
This is gonna be fucking cool.
She's usually there, but sometimes she gets sent home early.
You know what's crazy? If you really think about it, for our bike night, it sounds like a wild time if you just heard we have a sober bartender
Yeah.
and a bartender with one leg that lost in a motorcycle accident. It just sounds like a weird
Yeah.
place to have a bike night, but it's great.
Yeah.
Have you thought about having her on?
I don't know. I mean,
We got like only reason I ask is because I'm set up at a dealership for my podcast, and we got the pigeon lady that comes through like twice a week.
Pigeon
She
lady?
looks like the pigeon lady from Home Alone.
Oh.
And I want to get her on the podcast so bad. She's just this homeless lady that lives down there. And I just want to get her on the podcast and be like, what are you doing?
Might get amazing stories or it might just be trash.
I think it'd be, what got you here? What got you walking through the Harley dealer yelling at me about not having soap in the bathroom twice a week? Like, I just want to know. I just like, either way, like, if it's not a great story, I'm going to get some questions answered.
Yeah.
So I want to know. Like,
Solving some problems. Yeah.
yeah.
Man, so for context, you know, like what I know that we've talked about so much stuff in your past, but like when did you get into bikes? I really can't. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I don't know if I really know when the bike thing happened.
For me, it was just a little backstory. I joined the Navy when I was 18 in 2011. And after my first deployment, I'd lived with the same like 30 dudes for 9 months on a ship. And I needed some way, like none of my friends had bikes. And I was like, this is going to be I love being in the military, but this is going to be my thing to get away from it a little bit. And that was 2015. I bought my first bike.
What was the thing that's like spoke to you about a bike? You know what I mean? Like there had to be some kind of inspiration or some kind of like, I don't know.
Sons of Anarchy.
No,
It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, I watched the TV show. I think everybody did. But no, it was just a way to kind of be by myself is honestly what it was. Like I'd been in this cramped living quarters for a long time, you know, and this was a thing that none of my friends had one, which at the time I really appreciated. And I didn't know how to do it. And I'm kind of like, I'm always looking for new kind of shit to do in different ways. And I was like, all right, let me learn how to ride. My first time ever riding that bike, I almost died.
What was the first bike?
First bike was a 2007 Nightster.
Nightster.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the first year they had fuel injection and all that.
I had
And
one. I had a 07 Nightster.
Yeah, that was my first bike. And I just literally like learning how to ride on a little 5-speed in Virginia Beach was like definitely the good starting point. And then I did another deployment in so that was 2015. I deployed again to Bahrain in 2017. And I sold the Nightster right before I went on deployment. So I've been riding for a couple years. I sold it because I was like, I don't really know. You know, like I have this bike and there's snow and I don't know if I'm going to stay and get into this. And come back from deployment. And the way that they break up the deployments, it's like a cycle. So like you'll go for 6 months on, 6 months off. And then halfway through that 6 months, like 3 months, 50% of the people will go home. So you'll get like 3 months with the one group and then 3 months with another group. And then your group of 12 is out there together, right? But so I come back, like all of my good friends went home halfway through my deployment. And in Bahrain, you made a lot of money in per diem. Like it was, for a 25-year-old kid, it was like a really good gig in the military, right? So half the homies go home. I'm like, damn, I'm ready to get back. It's summertime. You know, I get back and everybody's got a Dyna. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. Like I just sold my bike 6 months ago and now you guys all went and got Dynas. So that was kind of peer pressured. I went and bought a Fat Bob like a couple days after my first deployment to Bahrain. And then from there, I rode that for a while. That was kind of the bike that I really, I would say, learned how to ride on a little bit. It was, what year was that? I want to say it was a 2011, if I'm not wrong. But it was like the baby blue color with drag bars and forward controls, like your typical Fat Bob. Just hell yeah, brothered out, dude. Like it was all chrome.
Well, was that the vibe though? Was everybody hell yeah, brothered in it?
I think this was like, at this time, me and my friends were starting to become aware of T-bars.
Okay.
So no, I did not fit in. So then I started kind of chasing that a little bit, with the homies, you know, I was like, damn, those things look sick. My buddy, Nick Jordan, had a Lowrider S, the last year of the Dyna, was 2017 with T-bars and the fairing. And I was like, that looks so fucking cool. So we did that to the Fat Bob, which I was super proud of it. Got it painted, put T-bars on it, put a little fairing on it. I put a TBR pipe on it at the time. I was like, we've done it. I love this, you know? This is the coolest shit in the world.
Nobody in Virginia Beach running this type of shit.
And in 2016 or 17, there was 3 people that were. But so
on the cusp.
Yeah. But so then I had that bike for a little while. When I moved to California, Shannon was pregnant with Cairo at the time, and she was up in Lemoore, and I was in school. So I'll get into that at some point. But so I was in school for 6 months in San Diego, and every weekend I was going back and forth from San Diego to Lemoore. And 3 months into that, I was like, fuck this Dyna. I'm getting a Road Glide. And then here we are. That just turned into...
Where'd you pick up that Road Glide?
Biggs Harley Davidson. which is funny because I lived
It was painted though, or
so when I bought it, it was a stock bike with paint.
okay,
And I was like, that's cool.
that's a start. Yeah.
That's, like, that's cool. Let's get it. And now it's my only hobby. So it's become like a little bit over the top now.
Yeah.
But now I've got that. I've got the Pan America as of a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy. Since the last time we saw, we both got new bikes.
we have a
You
problem,
got something
bro.
new, and I got something older than
Was that like a
myself.
whole month ago or something?
yeah.
Not even.
Yeah, it was like about a month ago.
You were telling me that, and I was like, man, he just really likes doing hard shit.
Well, I didn't live your life jumping out of fucking helicopters and swimming hard as fuck.
Bro, I've said it multiple times. My ancestors died so I can have cruise control. Like, but yeah. Yeah, no, where was I going with that? I don't know. But
Well, yeah, I mean, so
Started.
what year was it when you got that Road Glide?
I got that Road Glide in summer of 20, like peak COVID time.
Nice.
Yeah, it was probably maybe August, September of 20, something like that.
That, man, I've been saying it for years, that 2020 and like crossed over into 2022, like that little time frame was peak, like jumping on performance baggers. Like it's the thing to do. You know, it was like
when I got my Road Glide is when I started seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
And like the way my finances were set up at the time, like I wasn't able to immediately.
Yeah.
And honestly, I had no business. The bike that I have right now, I would have killed myself on in 2020. You know what I mean? Like I had no business doing any of that.
Yeah.
But I was able to watch what people were doing via Instagram and watching it catch on social
Yeah.
media. And like, man, that looks cool.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that bike hasn't remained the same for a 3-month period, probably since I started, you know.
They never do. Let's
They never
face
do.
it, you know.
Like, yeah, there's always, but yeah.
When did like you connect with Dan and like the whole Shifter Through crew start to come together?
So this is kind of funny. Right after I'll just kind of tell the whole story. So I moved up, I don't remember what month it was, but when I got full time up in Lemoore, I had a buddy, I bought a S&S air cleaner off of like a Dyna Bagger Parts Trader Instagram page or whatever it was. And this guy, Mike Gonzalez, sent it to me. So he sent it to me and like, I'd never done anything on this bike before, right? So like I get it on, I send him a picture. I'm like, hey, thanks, dude, you know? And we just get to chopping it up a little bit. And he's like, yeah, dude, bike looks good, you know, like blah, blah, blah. There's going to be a rally this weekend if you want to go. It's called the Live Fast Rally. And I was like, dude, when I tell you I had no friends, like, I mean, I lived in this town of 20,000 people. Like I had my work brothers, but that was different. I didn't know anybody that was riding. So I was like, all right, this place is like 3 hours away. I guess I'll show up down there. So I go down to this rally by myself. And it was, so this would have been June of 21. So it was like the first big rally after COVID. Like when I say big, I mean, there was 3,000 people there maybe.
Yeah.
But it was the first like big event in that area. And that
California,
just nobody
too, yeah.
gave a fuck. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we're out, we're partying.
Yeah, it's like that. That push, like this push back from being
Exactly. It was like
pressed down for so long.
yeah, it was
you
like
know?
the big middle finger to the government. So
Yeah.
like I get there and immediately like there's nowhere to park. I'm like, holy shit, this is
Did you ride down there by yourself?
yeah. I rode down there by myself. Got passed by like Daniel Hill, Aaron Pittman, Gentron, like people that have become good friends of mine.
Yeah.
Blew my fucking doors off doing like 100 miles an hour. I'm like, whoa, like those dudes are fast. Like two of them are chicks, you know? But like they ain't keeping up anymore. No, I'm just kidding. But I get down there and I'm like, holy shit, dude, there's so many people here. It's kind of overwhelming too. Like I've never been to a bike rally and there's hundreds of bikes, like nowhere to park. They rented the depot, which is just like this little grass kind of lot in the middle of I don't remember what the name of that town was. Los.
It wasn't at the same spot.
No, it wasn't in Solvang. It was Los something. But they'd rented this little field in the middle of this tiny ass town, right? And there wasn't enough parking. Like the city had no reason for having it there. Like people just took over the gas station across the street. They had it all fenced
sounds
off.
fun.
It was fucking sick, dude.
Yeah.
Like they just took over this tiny ass Los Avalos or something like that. I don't remember what it is.
that
But
area.
they just took this over, right? And it's wild. And I'm walking around and I'm seeing people like, I'm like, oh shit, that's Bulletproof Welder. Like, I don't know him at the time. Like, Ray had Harley Showcase going at the time. And I'm like, oh, that's that dude from Instagram. And I'm like, it's all these people that like I'm paying attention to, but I've lived here for a couple months and I don't know any of them, you know? And it got pretty funny because like these guys go out there, they shut down the street They're doing burnouts. They're doing wheelies. Some guy in a bagger's like doing a wheelie, runs into Bottle from Chopper King's van. Like the cops come shut it down, dude. It was wild. And then I just rode home like by myself, and I was like, man, that was really cool. You know,
so you didn't really get a chance to like really like meet or talk to anybody. It was just
I kind of like walked around and introduced myself.
Yeah.
Like I saw this was right after the Goo had done his like country tour on FXR. I think he had done or something. It was like shortly after that.
Was it on the FXR when Hillman, Roji, and them started doing those?
I think it was pre-roll.
Okay.
I think I might have that backwards, but like I remember seeing him and knowing who he was.
Yeah, because he had that blue and black FXR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say he was on that at the time.
Okay.
Excuse me. But I remember seeing that and like knowing who he was, and then leaving, got home, and Mod Glide texted me and was like, hey, I think I saw your bike at the gas station down there. And I was like, yeah, that was me. Like, but I'm like, I don't know anybody, you know?
How far is like, because Montclair's in Modesto.
Yeah.
How far is that from where you were at?
I was probably 2.5 hours north.
Damn, it's still that far?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It's still pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was just south of Fresno.
Yeah,
So
the
like,
valley's far, dude. Everything feels.
Oh, yeah. He's from
yeah.
Bakersfield.
Are
so-
you? Yeah, I was in Lemoore for a while. So yeah, it was.
You know what? You were hanging out to Hachi Casino the whole time.
Todd. Oh no.
That's how you bought the bag, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, I avoided Tachi. The natives at Tachi are mean. Like, you know, like white dude by himself over there. I wasn't going to Tachi very often. Like, but no. So then went to that, and they started having like bike nights or whatever it was. Like I met a couple dudes in Lemoore and just started hanging out. And the way I met Dan, and this is when I didn't really know him, but like real quick into meeting him, I was like, I fuck with this dude heavy for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like this dude's legit. I'd kind of had like a little bit of falling out with a group of guys, and then they invited me to a barbecue of all things. So I go over to the barbecue, and this one dude is like, hey man, you know, if you're gonna cause a problem, we're gonna ask you to leave. And I'm like, okay.
So you get invited to something.
I get invited, and then I get told to like fuck off.
But it's like, are they invite you to like jump you?
I don't know. That's kind of what I was like. So I was like, I'm gonna go find out.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happens, I walk in the garage, and it's like all these dudes I know. I'm like, hey, did you plan on asking me to leave? Like I didn't have to show up, you know, like whatever I said, and just questioned everybody on it. And there's this dude I've never met, literally like leaned up on the wall drinking a beer. He's like, that conversation might have happened, but I wasn't fucking part of it. That had nothing to do with me. And that was Dan. And I was like, hey man, like, Taylor, good to meet you, you know? And we just hit it off from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of we just became buddies, and we were kind of fucking around trying to come up with like funny ideas. We were making fun of ourselves. So we made some shirts, and like 5 or 6 days after we got the shirts done, a year had gone by, and it was the next Live Fast rally.
Okay.
So we didn't have like an LLC or a website, I think, or anything. Like we never vended anywhere. We didn't know what we were doing. So we all just entered our bikes into the show and filled the bags up with shirts, and we were just slanging them like out of our bags. So like I still owe Chad and Steve and those boys like $150 for that vendor fee, you know? But that was, I mean, it was kind of grassroots. Like we were just selling them out of our bags. Guys were ordering, we're running back to the bags. And now like those guys are like family now. Like now we put on the bike show for Live Fast. And that year the rally was, because they used to move it every year. That year it was at like a ranch. It was at like a farmhouse.
Is it the first Sylvain spot that they've been doing it since then, or what?
So no, this was the one before where they're at now.
Okay.
So now they're at like a park in, is it Solvang?
It's right there.
They're going to get mad because I'm going to get it wrong. San Ynez. San Ynez is the name of it. So at this point, it was at like a, Los Alamos is the name of the town that the third
You
one
sure?
was
Because
at.
that sounds like some Oppenheimer shit.
It is. That's why I thought about it. It's Los Alamos. No, that's why I remember it. But so this one was at like a ranch, and you had to go down. Everybody was bitching because it was like a half mile of like dirt gravel road, and everybody was pissed. I was like, "This is cool. This is like biker shit." You know what I mean? So everybody was all pissed off. We get up there, put the bikes in the show, and Dan, I don't think he'd been to like a real rally yet at that point. He was like, "This is fucking sick." And I mean, we had 5 or 6 other guys that like all kind of pitched in initial money, like Jake Highfield, Ghetto Glide, all those dudes, fucking rad. And then eventually, like you got 6 dudes working on a project. Guys were just kind of like, you got it, man. Like I got this going on, or I got a family. You know what I mean? But
so it was really like a crew at first, and then it kind of like
it kind of
to be on the LLC, it became just a much smaller thing.
Exactly. Now it is like an LLC, but it's still just like a group of guys.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole. I mean, the way it really started was we were all meeting up in Visalia at the Shell station, and we were racing up to Mountain House, which was the bar up short of Sequoia, and the last one there brought the first round.
What, like Mountain House, like up in NorCal?
No, it's
the town.
No, it's a bar.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bar up there by.
I think it's an HA Clubhouse and Mountain House up there that we used to.
Nah, different one. Yeah, not the one I was.
Vasco Boulevard or something like that.
But yeah, we were just racing up to the bar, and we were just carving canyons up there.
Nice.
Last one there about the first round, and we started having shift linkage issues. And we showed up one day, and this guy was like, "Oh, look, dude, the fucking shifter crew is here." And we were like, "Oh, that's fucking tight." Yeah. So Jake fucking made like visor stickers that I still have on my helmet to this day, and it went from there, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean, I remember seeing it. I think I've told you 100 times, but just for the conversation, like, because I want to say Graf got me hooked up with LRK.
Yep, Londis Q's.
Londis. Yep. And that's who did our the camp out shirt, the last camp out shirt we did. He did the graphics for it. Mm-hmm. And then I had paid him to do like a podcast logo, but I'm such a fucking anal dude that I don't think I gave him the right shit because it you know what I mean? It was like I didn't prepare him for what I wanted, you know what I mean? So I paid him anyway, just.
Was that the FL or whatever?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that.
FL podcast. And I think he did it good. It's just that it didn't look the way in my head, once it was together, it just didn't fucking do it for me. So, and to that point, I've drawn every logo I've ever had myself. So it's like you're kind of letting go of this one thing that you're like very anal about, and you kind of just don't want to do it because you don't want to piss anybody off or be, disrespectful or whatever. And then he was showing me like I guess y'all had the Simpson helmet, and I was like, yeah, like that, that'd be dope to have that with some trees behind it, and these colors, and then that's when I first started seeing your logo, and then I started seeing around. But I told you a lot, man. I was like, I thought that y'all were out of Phoenix.
Yeah, that came from. So Londis, just to shout Londis out real quick, it was actually Papa Juan that put me in touch with him because I was in.
Actually, it might have been Papa Juan with me too.
Yeah,
it's either them or LFG. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was it's a close knit group and they all are around each other. But we were out in Arizona and I had these the visor stickers, like what are the little white cutout?
Yeah, just like vinyl.
Yeah, it was just that, and I was like trying to give these things away, and people are like looking at me like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Juan and my buddy Paul asked me to a bar one night. They're like, "What are you trying to do with this?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then Juan calls me after I get back from Arizona. He's like, "Hey, if you're serious and you want to like start doing some design shit, hit this guy up."
Yeah.
So Londis did our first design.
Nice.
But I think the reason you thought we were out of Phoenix was because that's where our first bike show was at. It was Arizona Bike Week at Scottsdale Harley. So that was where there was a shit ton of pictures of us like floating around, and we never put on a bike show. We'd been to a good amount of them at the time. And I remember selling the idea to them. And then Clockworks actually kind of put us on.
Oh, okay.
That would have been what, 22 or 23?
23.
Because 23 is when I had Londis do that shirt for us.
Yep. It was April of 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. We, the year before, we'd gone out and just gotten absolutely shit-faced at Scottsdale Harley. Just me and Dan out there fucking around, being dumb. And we were looking at it, and I was like, dude, every location in Arizona Bike Weeks has like a bike show. Like Cave Creek had one, Westworld. I think Rockford Fosgate had one, but Scottsdale Harley didn't. So I was like, do you want to try it? Like, fuck it, And Dan was like, if we're going to do this, we need to make something cool. Like, we need to have something that people are going to want to win because nobody knows who the fuck we are, So I'm like, all right, bro, I'll start working on trying to get us in the door, and you start doing your creative process over here. Yeah. So I had met a couple of the guys from Clockworks, but didn't really know them, but I knew that they were set up there. So I messaged them just randomly and was like, hey, my name's Taylor. I have this page with 600 followers. Do you want to sponsor my bike show at the largest square footage Harley dealer in the world? So obviously they read that and never respond. Like they left me on red for that, Like a month goes by and I'm at the Parts and Labor Expo for Biltwell. We're set up our booth and this super skinny tall kid comes up and he's like, which one of you runs the Instagram? And I was like, that's me. He's like, hey, I'm Shelton from Clockworks. I read your message, but I saw you were going to be here. I'd rather talk in person.
Oh, sick.
And it was off the races from there. So
yeah.
And then that was April that year. We did the first bike show out there.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. How did of all things, like the bike show, like how did that come into the mix?
I mean, really what this is like, and granted we have an LLC, right? Like we pay taxes, we do all this, but nobody's making money on this. Like I'm not it doesn't matter how many hoodies, how many t-shirts, every dime that has ever come into a bank account from this has been dumped right back into it. It's never paid an electrical bill for anybody. We do this because we really enjoy it. And the bike show is just a reason for us to be out there. You know what I mean? So it was like, I don't want to talk shit about clothing brands, but there's so many of them. Like you can throw a rock and hit a clothing brand these days, you know?
I mean, to be honest with you, and maybe to be a dick, I mean, that's kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, well, you know, here's another brand. Let's see if it sticks around long enough.
That's probably what you thought about me when you saw that thing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not that you're like, I want to be a dick, or I think people that have my mentality want to be a dick. It's just that I already cannot keep up with the people I know and I care about, and that I want to, you know, see succeed. It's like, I don't want to dump resources or attention into someone that hasn't put any time in, and, you know, or might not be here in 6 months, you know, and it's not my responsibility to help someone like that get, you know, succeed. Not, you know what I mean? It sounds fucked up to say.
Like, no,
but it's like, you know, there's a lot of people in this industry that really do pour their blood, sweat, and tears into keeping things going or growing or whatever. And that's, to me, it's like when you see someone out for a while, like, damn, these dudes are still fucking going.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
You know,
100%.
You know, and it's, I don't know, it's not saying that I'm like that with everybody, but, you know, it's like, I think when LFG first came out, like, they reached out to me and made it real easy to be a part of their world.
Yep.
Which it was easy to reciprocate it back when it was, you know, like, I still haven't had Dustin on, which I really want to do. But, like, you know, having Graf on when he was in town once.
Those
you know
dudes are so easy to be friends with.
Yeah.
They literally make it easy to be their friend. Like,
but you know, do you know how, like, what's the word, like, entitled some new brands are?
Oh, dude. Yes.
You know?
Like, hey, Ride Faster Pussy put something up one time. Shout out to Jason. He posted something that's like stuck with me. I probably think about it weekly. And it was like, a lot of you guys get into this game and you feel like everything is supposed to happen for you. You don't see all the work that people have actually put in to get to the point that they're at. They just made it look easy. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I look at the guys like that have been around doing this for like 20 years, and I'm looking at it like, eventually it's going to be somebody else's turn. Like, not going to let it die here.
Exactly.
You know? That's kind of how I look at it. And it's, you asked about how the bike show thing started. This whole thing is an excuse for us to go to motorcycle rallies. Why not be a part of it or try to?
Yeah.
You know, that was the intent, was to try to, and now we're doing that a little bit, you know.
To be a part of it, do you have to contribute something? I mean, that's
kind of
at its core. It's like, yeah, you can have the vision of your clothing brand and like this aesthetic and stuff, and all these events, you know, bike nights. But what are you gonna contribute? You know? Maybe that's what keeps it like easy to identify with. And I mean, you've seen it. You've been around for.
I always tell like the guys in Dallas, I do my best to kind of keep this in everybody's mind, but they all get it. You know, like, we have one big table we all eat off of. And so the question is always like, what are you bringing onto the table? Right. You know, and hey, it's here for you to eat off of it. But just, if you see something getting low, ask what you can do to make this better. Right. So it's like you said, like events, or whether it's bringing a show, or like you see it, like you're kind of solving a problem. You know what I mean? With that, there's just you see a lot of brands come out and they're so stoked about their idea and getting it off the ground, and they're just gung ho about it, that, you know, it's kind of like, hey, I'm happy for you. Like, that's dope. I understand that feeling, you know, but nobody owes you a fucking thing. You know what I mean? Just because you know, like, that's the weird thing that gets hard for people. I think sometimes brands, or like new brands, have a hard time understanding that, like, we've seen, I mean, I could name 5 fucking brands in the SoCal area that's come and gone since we started this podcast. Right. You know, is Manic Crew still a thing? Do you even remember that?
I do.
Okay.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying, where's it at? Yeah. So it's like these guys will come out so heavy and swinging. You know what's hard? It's hard to stay here. Yes, it's not hard to come in. It's hard to stay.
It's easy to come. It's easy to do anything for 6 months. Yeah. I can do fucking anything for 6 months. Yeah. Do it for 6 years, and then do it for 12 years.
And then I think the staying power comes also with, are you just here for a money grab to try to make money off everybody in the community? Are you doing something to continue to put back in the community so it can continue to grow?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, meeting you and having a conversation with you and getting to know, you know, the intent behind the brand, I was like, fuck, like hell yeah, fuck with
like
this
I'll
dude.
hang out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
You know?
like, we make clothing. We're never going to stop doing that because like the t-shirts and the hoodies and the visor stickers, that pays for a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
That's how I get the gas money to go to Sturgis. That's, you know what I mean? Like this year, I mean, those trophies we're making were crazy.
Yeah.
And we did have some help, you know what I mean? Thanks. Like we had some help with that. Clockwork, shout out to those guys. But like we footed a lot of that bill, and
I mean, to get it going, right? I mean, it took some startup money
exactly
to get it off the ground. And once people see the vision, it's easy to kind of, buy into that, if you will.
Right. A year in, people are like, oh, wait, that's cool. Okay, you can be a part of this, you know? But I mean, I got a regular job. Dan's got a regular job.
See, at the same time, if you had the mentality, like, that's how it works. Like people, a brand, they don't want to just dump all their resources into you, not knowing how serious you are. Yeah. It's kind of the concept of when they say, is going to college really for the education or to prove that you can do something for 4 years to get a career?
It's just to prove that piece of paper that you worked hard.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like, or not that hard. I don't know. I didn't go to college.
Neither did I.
No, but what you said is the truth, because they said the same thing about the military. That's why they'll hire people out of the military, because it proves that you can commit to something and you're not just
Makes sense.
And just bow out when things get hard.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the concept, and I think that coming up with dude, how many people have a t-shirt brand? You know what I mean? Like, and I don't hate them for it. I think it's fucking cool, especially when someone comes out with something that's actually pretty dope. I'm like, God damn,
that's tight.
I like that. You know what I'm saying? Yep. You doing that right now? You doing?
Oh no, I grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah.
No,
Slide me one of the man beers too.
Oh, halfway. So to see his arms reach out there. But I mean, it's cool, like, because for the first 6 months of this, I'd been going to shows for a little while. Like, I probably had a year, and people were starting to get to know me a little bit. And I was like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. And I had a lot of guys that were just friends. Yeah. That were just like, hey, I'm going to buy this because Taylor's cool. Yeah. You know? And now it's more often than not that, when we complete an order, I don't know who that person is. Yeah. And they live in, Jersey. And I'm like, how fucking cool is that? You know? Yeah. So it's just a different, I don't know. It's turned into something different. I don't really know what it is anymore.
I don't know how far we got into this conversation, but we were talking, I think when I was in San Diego a couple weeks back, and we were talking about the what is a lifestyle brand, and it's been sticking with me a lot because I never really considered our brand to be a lifestyle brand, and that term just gets used a lot in brands these days.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of those terms like content, and it's just but yeah, I mean. It's when we went to dinner and we were talking about that. Yeah.
I don't remember a lot from that night.
It was fun. It was fun.
I was sober at the time, and you guys were not. I was like, hey, these are both my friends. Let me get in on this conversation.
But no, I think you can transcend. I mean, that's been in my mind a lot right now with my role with Law Tigers. It's and we've been playing with this idea of getting out of the parking lot. It's okay, it just speaks to progression and just kind of try to be forward thinking. Is there a threshold we can get to from getting rid of saying the generic, ad to to the lifestyle thing? I mean, the most successful brands have marketed themselves to where it's not about the can anymore. It's just the logo is just everywhere. Yeah. It's marketing the product is out the door.
Yeah. Well, what was coming to my mind was, what comes first? Do you become a brand to be a lifestyle brand, or are you living the lifestyle and you decide to make it a brand? And I think that the Shifter Crew thing is a lifestyle that you and Dan and the people in those areas were having, these other guys that you had mentioned, and then you decided to turn it into the brand to represent the life that you're already living, right?
100%.
So to me, that's a lifestyle brand. That's the way it should start. It shouldn't be like, hey, Devin, let's start a lifestyle brand. And the only thing that we ever do
is make t-shirts. Yeah. No, if you look at even the shirt I'm wearing right now is the Major League Motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
The dude on the back of this shirt is Lenny Howard.
Yeah.
Very good friend of mine. That's my brother. Mm-hmm. It's a picture of him racing his motorcycle that we put on a shirt. You know what I mean? So it's not, I don't know. If it's not genuine, people are going to see through that. It's kind of how I feel, you know? And I can do that.
Yeah. I mean, these are just the different types of concepts, like you said, that there's terms that get thrown around, it's a lifestyle brand, it's we're content creators, blah, 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 influencer.
Damn.
It's like realistically, I think the best brands that existed and have become that, Thrashing, for example, like they're literally doing everything they've always been doing. They just found a way to become content creators and a life. They're just, okay, I guess we're just going to make this our lifestyle.
They
it's
found a way to convey what they are doing on a regular basis to millions of people.
Exactly.
That's what they figured out.
So that, to me, that's an organic growing thing. All the people right now that are looking at what Lance is doing, going, I want to do that. They're not thinking about all the things he did to get to that point.
Yeah.
They want to skip all the lifestyle building and go be the lifestyle brand.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Want to be what somebody else is doing. What are you doing that's cool? What can you talk about, or what can you do or show that people are going to want to relate to, or better yet, want to be a part of?
Yeah.
That's when you go to a different place. Is people and dudes come around, like they'll see, we don't advertise it, but we ride like every Sunday.
Yeah.
And sometimes more people show up and they're just like, oh yeah, we like literally yesterday guys were like, oh, I thought I might see you up here.
Yeah.
Up at Julian, it's me and 10 homies,
Yeah.
Like that's when people start seeing that, they start wanting to be around it. Now you're building a community. That's, I don't know if I want to say that's the goal, but that's been one of the coolest parts of all this is like the people, the relationships that we've made off of this,
Well, another thing I've been telling you for the last couple of months we've been talking is like, I feel like since your brand has kind of hit the scene and, with the podcast and all that stuff, it's kind of unifying a lot of California, which California's just had so many pockets for so many years, but it seemed like there was not a cohesive connection between everybody. It was like you're either up in the valley doing some thrashing stuff and 2-Lane Life stuff, or you're down in SoCal doing some, Cinders Only shit or whatever. So it's like there's never much of a connection to bring people together. And I mean, it's just, there's a lot of things out there. It's a fucking crazy, not saturated, even though it is, but it's not really the word I'm looking for. It's dense. And everybody has their own identity or agenda. So being a part of something that already exists is kind of hard for some of the people out there. But the more I see it, like being like the more consistent that you guys are, it seems like the more people will just kind of like, you know what, fuck it. Why compete against this? Why not just find a way to work with it?
Yeah.
The way you did with like Live Fast, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and that was straight up asking like, hey, can we be a part of this? Initially, we wanted to. The first year we wanted to, and actually this is a good story. We wanted to do the bike show because we had just come off of our first bike show at Arizona Bike Week. So we get back from that. I called up Steve Hubbard. I was like, hey, dude, can we make some trophies for you for the bike show? He's like, dude, we already got those covered. But if you want to make some trophies, because the slow race that they put on at Live Fast is fucking wild. Like, I'm not saying it's better than anybody else, but it's the most competitive one I've ever seen. Like, some of these kids that are out there are, I swear to God, they're like training for this, dude. It's fucking wild. And they do it like a couple years in a row. They did it on like a dirt road. It's cool. And they're like, if you want to make some trophies for the slow race, you can do that. And we were like, okay, cool. So we sponsored the slow race, made a couple cool trophies. The following year, after the 24 Arizona Bike Week, they called me the day after and they're like, do you want our bike show? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. And they're like, okay, we're thinking about giving the slow race to LFG. And I was like, even better. Yeah. Like, because now everybody is coming together. Now they have a great relationship. You know what I mean? And Dustin's one of my closest friends. That's the community here.
Yeah, that's the table I was talking about.
Exactly.
Instead of going, you know what? I had such a great time at Live Fast rally. Let's start our own rally. It's like find a way to help the things that already exist be better. And if it doesn't exist and where you're living, you want to take on that big, that big chunk of like responsibility, then go ahead.
Yep.
But
those guys had that vision 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's respect that. Let's go be a part of that. That's how I look at it. I mean,
Same.
Watching the excitement, I'll never forget watching the excitement when they called Dustin and said like, hey, it's yours. He was like, I'm doing belt buckles.
That was the first belt buckle this year.
And the big ass cowboy belt buckles that you have to like earn to win in a slow race. He's got that shit unlocked. As far as I'm
I didn't realize
concerned.
that was like, this was the first year you did the show over there.
I know, I make it look easy, dog.
I was there, dude. I was there. We might have shook hands there and like,
I think
first time.
Yeah. We had a funny kind of start to our relationship too.
Did you have a Russ Brown sponsorship first?
I was like,
No, I hooked up with Dustin and Rafa at the time with LFG.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, we want to get back into the podcast game, but we don't have the gear. We're talking about things. It's like, well, I need referrals, kind of working it out. And it's like, well, dude, let's just go in on the podcast and kind of
Yeah.
figure it out as we go, you know. A few months in, I guess you started hearing that we should meet, kind of thing. And
Dustin was like, "You need to get with Gabe. You need to get with Gabe." And I was like, "I ain't getting with any of these fucking lawyers. Like, it ain't gonna happen, dude." And talking with Dan all the time, he was like, "Dude, I don't want to get with a lawyer because then we get with a lawyer and something goes wrong. Now we got to hire a lawyer to fight our lawyer." And like, it was just this whole thing we built up in our heads.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest.
And I mean, the model is kind of tried and true and pretty clever if you think about it. To get in, you just co-brand everything. Here it is. You just go run it, you know. But it's also kind of tired.
Yeah.
So
that's what we were talking about down in San Diego that night.
Yeah.
It's how do you like, effective marketing is only gonna last for so long before it's saturated. Other people pick it up. Other industries will pick it up, and then it becomes like oh shit, you know. It's like I said, now, not to talk shit about it, but now when you see a brand with a logo on the tent as well, it's kind of like
yeah, you think it's
yeah, it's kind of like
maybe assume some things or
you know, it's like dude. When I remember when it first started happening here, I was like, oh, that's pretty smart. I was like, man, you know, I don't have a
free
nice
pop-up.
tent.
right, yeah. I could use
I ain't
a
Gabe,
new
but
one.
a free pop-up is free
Yeah.
pop-up. All right. Like,
But you know, as you see more and more of them pop up, then you're like, okay,
it becomes saturated.
now I have to find a way to be different because that's going to be a small thing that's different, you know. And
That's where you were kind of with that thing, you know.
And that was like, and to put it in this perspective, this isn't bashing anything, but we sold enough t-shirts to then buy 2 pop-ups that were $1,000 each or whatever. Yeah. So we sold $2,000 of product. We're not putting anybody else in these pop-ups. You know what I mean? Because we were fucking proud of these things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you have an idea that you put $100 into that turns into $2,000 in a couple months, you're like, I'm not giving this away. You know what I mean? This is my thing right here, you know? And so that was probably the delay in us becoming friends, but
I mean,
but it worked.
well, you know, a good relationship is about like having conversations. Like, how could we do something? You know, instead of just, hey, this is what we offer as a brand. If you would like this, we can give you that. But instead of like coming together and figuring out how you can be of value to him and he can be of value to you, and having a real partnership relationship thing going
it's got to be win-win. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it ain't a partnership.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's where it's at. Me and him go to the bar together. And we just talk about, we went to Utah together out to Tucker's. Like,
yeah.
you know? So now we're just friends.
We went to lunch and like it was happened to be your birthday, so we had a couple birthday
We went
beers.
to breakfast on my birthday. Damn near turned into
Brunch.
dinner.
It was brunch.
Like,
California thing, maybe. It was brunch.
a lot of beers, dude. Like,
That was like 3, dude. It wasn't even that many.
yeah.
Now you should have cop friends so you can ride home from that. You got the cop and the lawyer so you can get out.
All right. Just been safe and good to go.
The convoy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But then that's where you were talking about the Pan Ams. It's like,
That's where the Pan Am craze started, dude.
Yeah.
I was like 3 or 4 beers in, and I was like, I just started like Rain Man in my thoughts.
Yeah.
That like keep me up at night about these Pan Americas. And I was like, listen, and he doesn't fucking care. Like, I'm not, there's no delusions here. I know that. But I was like, listen, they're marketing this thing wrong. It's not an adventure bike. It's like a utility bike.
Yeah.
And he's like,
but I did care. So I think this guy's onto
he's just
something
kinda
with this
looking at me.
shit.
So then he introduced me. He was like, I need to introduce you to Jose from National City Harley. And I was like, okay. And then that took off on its own adventure as well.
Well, I mean, I think that your draw to the Pan America is the same draw that I'm having towards choppers. It's like a challenge. Like
100%.
you were just saying before we got on here, like how you really want to learn how to really ride on the dirt on this thing, you know? And I mean, it's not hard to have a road glide, man. It's it's not hard to have a road glide. It's not hard to go across country. It's not hard to do 1,000 miles. The hardest thing about owning a road glide is making the monthly payment.
100%, dude. 100%.
We're just having the time to go ride it factor in.
The hardest part about it is getting approved for that loan. That's the hardest part of that fucking road glide. That's true.
No thanks.
It's not it's not difficult. Like I rode it to Sturgis this year and back, and it wasn't super hard, you know. But I was like,
Yeah.
plug it in.
No,
No, just
pull
get
it
closer.
closer.
Oh, sorry. I was leaning back. My bad. But like it wasn't really difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'm watching guys riding on the dirt. I didn't grow up riding bikes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I was a city kid, dude. My dad's from Brooklyn. You think I had a fucking dirt bike? Like, you know, so I was watching these guys rip these things. I'm like, that looks like fun.
Yeah.
You know? And it's super convenient motorcycle. Like to commute around San Diego, that
Yeah.
bike's amazing for lane splitting and like the 3 gay boxes on it.
Yeah.
I can fit so much stuff in there, dude. Like it's great. But I don't know.
But it's the challenge of like finding a new new
learning
thing.
curve.
Yeah. You know, it has potential to do a lot more than just the typical commuting, and you live in a part of the country where there's a lot of BLM land to go run around on. It just, to me, it makes sense, and it might be a more different direction the way I'm going, but it's still a challenge, and it's hard, and it's unfamiliar. You know what I mean? So,
and you kind of said earlier we were making fun of the Road Glide, but like, there's only so much I can do on that bike, to be honest. Like, I'm never going to be a wheelie guy. One, because I can't afford to fix it if I break it, and two, I can't ride that good. But so like, I've kind of done what I can with that bike, you know. And I'm like, well, I'm not a builder, I'm not a welder, I'm not any of that. I'm like, let's buy one of these and see what we can break on this, you know. Like, but it's all just a challenge.
Yeah, that's the whole point about it, man. Like, you know, I think a lot of people that have been that fell in love with the performance motorcycle scene, they're just, if you've been doing it for 7 years, I mean, it's not that you hate it, it's not that whatever, but it's like, man, okay, well, what else? Like, I've already had maybe one or two bikes I built over the last 7 years, 8 years, 5 years, whatever. I'm kind of like, I want to try something new. Or they get out and they, you know, as I say all the time, they get into barbecuing, mowing their grass with lines in it, or fucking, you know, boats.
Yeah, no, I don't
drills,
have
man.
Church league softball.
Yeah. I've got fuck around motorcycle money. I don't have fuck around boat money. Like, it's not, it ain't gonna happen, you know.
No.
But
You gotta get that fuck you money.
Yeah.
Boats,
I need,
especially
like-
out there in San Diego.
oh yeah, I need like 3 times what I have right now to buy a
It's
jet ski.
never enough, dude. Let's
You don't
face
have
it.
fucking lakes and shit there, Jace. It's
ocean.
You gotta have the fucking yacht.
Fucking ocean boats? Is
Ocean
that a
boats,
thing?
saltwater boats is different, dude. Like, if you get you a freshwater boat, dude, never been in the salt, that's a good deal. That's
real?
yeah,
Damn.
yeah.
Well, I know up in NorCal with the Delta there, with all the channels and the little lakes everywhere, that like the boating world is huge up there.
Yeah.
Then of course you got Havasu, but that might as well be the ocean. The type of boats that get on Havasu. You know what I mean?
A lot of guys go up to the river too. Like my buddy Will goes up to the river out in Parker, Arizona all the time. They get after it out there. I'm like, I don't have that kind of money. Exactly. I've got Road Glide money, not jet boat money or whatever they got. But
I got a buddy that got a DWI on a boat.
no shit.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that's
They're out
got to
there
suck.
hounding you,
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
You got like jet ski money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jet ski money. Yeah. I almost
Paddleboard money.
I got jammed up in Bahrain by the Bahraini Coast Guard on a jet ski one time.
For real.
Yeah, we used to do this. So I forget what day of the week it is, but their weekends are like Friday, Saturday, not Sunday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday. I'm sorry. Like Sunday's their Monday. So we used to do this thing on Fridays where we would go to brunch. And brunch was like an event that I can't explain. Anybody that's ever been to Bahrain knows what I'm talking about. But like we would go get like suits made to go to these brunches, right? And it would be like, I swear to God, it would be
sick.
It was sick, dude. It would be like 100 BD or Bahraini dollars, which is like $150 American, to go to this brunch. All you can eat, all you can drink. And it was like
What kind of
fancy.
suits though? I'm immediately thinking Dumb and
Zoot
Dumber.
suits?
No, like done up, like dudes were getting. I don't know,
Like water suits?
tuxedos?
like
Oh.
tuxedos,
Okay.
like nice suits. Like I don't know what their names were, but we called them the twins. There's like these twin brothers that worked at the souk. That you would go and like get your custom suit made. You would go to brunch in that,
Like
right?
reliving prom
Dude,
suit
yeah,
type
it was,
shit?
Yeah, it was like sick though. Like
Okay.
it was. We'd
sounds
show
right.
up in like cowboy straw hats. Like you would have like a theme, right? But it
So
was
you
a,
used to play dress up, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
100%, dude. Like it's a big deal. We were like 25. We had a bunch
I think we could have worn cowboy hats here.
It makes it okay. But so we would go out to these brunches and they were like these fancy, super elegant, raging parties though.
Yeah.
And one of the spots that we went to was called the Sofitel, and you could rent jet skis out back. So like you'd be in your suit, then you bring like your swim trunks with you, and we'd be out of the pool afterwards. So after, I don't know, 4 hours of all you can eat, all you can drink, I was like, I'm gonna go rent one of those jet skis. Like, so we're out there, I'm out there getting after on a jet ski for however long, tip it over, come back up above the water, and the Bahraini Coast Guard's like, boss, in, just like pointing at me like, you're done. I was like, sounds good. Like put it back in. I was like, ooh, that would have been a problem in America.
I grew up with a buddy that had a jet ski, or his family did, and so we get to drive them and everything, and just watching them going through all the process of like, you know, just keeping them up, maintenance and gas, and you got to go.
It's a lot of fun knowing a
trailer.
guy that has one.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm not trying to back up
Show
any
up,
trailer,
yeah.
let alone a jet ski trailer. Like, no.
I think it'd be cool to like live on a houseboat somewhere for like an experiment, not a long time.
I think it'd be cool to have a buddy with houseboat, like
just
give him like $100 for the weekend.
Dude, I got weird like life experience things that I want to do that I like. For one, and I don't know if I've ever talked about it, but like there's a part of me that legitimately wants to walk across country.
Walk.
I thought
south, north, east, west.
I thought he was going to say he wanted to move onto a boat, and I was totally going to support that.
No, I mean that's one of them too, dude. Not move on it, but like just like in like the Ozarks or something, just be on a boat, like live on a houseboat or some shit for a while.
That'd be
as
tight.
an experience.
Yeah,
dude. That's the older I get, the more I realize it's the experience shit that I'm more attracted to, and sometimes there is a material aspect that garners that experience, right? So a chopper or a houseboat.
Yeah,
I know. I get sad and spend money sometimes too. I get it. I get it, dude.
Dude, the other day I think we were
chasing that dopamine. Yeah, I need something.
We were at or this weekend. I don't know if you were at the table with us when I said this, but I was like, Millhouse from Thundermax. He's got a fucking fat ass Rolex on, and I'm like, I want a fucking Rolex now. Right. Just to know what it's like to walk around with something that people might rob me for. You know what I mean?
Just to know what it's like to pretend to be rich a little bit.
Van Buren and Jake, they can all just have their little fucking Rolex moments together.
Well, it happened with my necklace, man. I was like, I've never owned jewelry. I think I want to get a necklace, and I'm kind of used to wearing that now. Chain. But you watch. I've never been a jewelry guy because I work with my hands. It's hard to have shit like that.
On and off and shit.
Yeah. It's like I don't wear my ring a lot unless it's like I'm not going to be doing any kind of work all day.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just like shit like that. I'm like, man, that'd be cool, dude. And sometimes when you're riding motorcycles cross country, like you'll come up to these random gas stations in the middle of nowhere. There'll be a dude on a bicycle that's got tires and saddlebags on his front wheel, and I'm like. I want to talk to that guy. Yeah. I want to know what it's just more interesting and stuff. And I mean, walking might be extreme, but
I used to see those guys in New Mexico all the time off Interstate 40, and you're like,
yeah,
you're a fucking straight thug.
Yeah, I'm good.
So I don't know, man. It's just like shit like that. But like I said, I've also maybe it goes back to what we were talking about earlier when we were at dinner tonight, where I was like, I live 10 miles from where I came out of my mom. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't have.
So you got that adventure bug in you.
Yeah. If you've been around the world and shit, you came from another country.
Legit. Yeah. I mean, a really close country, but it still counts.
A neighboring country. Yeah.
He still trips me out.
We'll see
when
what Trump does.
Spanish.
It might be. We'll see what Trump does. It might become America. So we'll see.
Have you been out of the country?
No.
No shit.
At all?
Never been to Mexico? Nothing. No shit.
I don't have a passport.
We gotta get you out more, dude.
So
I thought when you went to Terralingua,
that's the story I was telling you guys where they said, oh yeah, you can just walk across and there's a donkey that takes you. Like, no, dude, we got to that border crossing and there's a cop and they're going, yeah, no, you have to have a passport to leave the country.
Maybe it's like a California thing then.
Maybe.
So would EDR be your first time going
yes,
into
that's
Mexico?
The plan. Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like a place to stay? Have you looked at all that shit? No.
Just gonna wing it, dude. He's gonna leave his bike in my house and go.
Well, it's that type of event.
Yeah.
No, I haven't actually.
I should probably do that too.
It's not going to take more than 5 months to get one.
With my logic, I'll be saying that up to 30 days. And I won't get one.
It's usually like 2 months, 2 or 3 months.
You gotta like send off all your original documents. It's pretty crazy.
I renewed mine and it had been expired long enough to where you don't renew it, just do it again, reapply and shit.
The other thing is like I don't have my physical Social Security card and all that type of shit.
I got a story about this.
Okay.
On last Thursday, I went to go because I lost my Social Security card as well. And I have to have it for the Harley job. Like they need that, right? So I go in and don't make an appointment, just walk up to the window. I'm like, there's no line here. This is going to be great. They're like, okay, yeah, we can get you your card renewed today. Perfect. She's like, all right, what's your name? Tell her. What's your social? Tell her. She accepts all this. What's your birthday? She goes, where were you born? I said, Evansville, Indiana. This lady looked at me and said, no. Like I was born in Evansville, Indiana.
Like wrong answer?
Yeah. She was like, that's not what the computer says. Straight up told me that. And I'm like, and then I'm like, wait a minute. I was adopted at like 16. So maybe it's like the only other place I've ever lived in my life.
Yeah.
And I said that. She was like, no. And I'm like, let me call my mom real quick. I'm 32 years old. I'm a grown ass man. About to find out where I'm born. I go to pull my phone out. She's like, no phones at the window. I can't put into words how angry I was at this lady for telling me I was not born where I know to have been born. She just starts writing down on a note. She's like, "Here's your appointment. Come back next week." Wow. I was so yeah. Maybe get
Did
that.
you speak with your mom?
Just whip out and be like,
I don't have a social. You think I got a birth certificate on me?
Did you ask your mom where you were actually?
I asked her. She was like, "Yeah, you're born at St. Mary's in Evansville, Indiana." And I was like, "Thought so."
That's weird.
And
the lady was just.
The lady just wasn't having it. I don't know what the deal was. I went home, looked at my birth certificate, and it had the county on there. So I'm wondering if she wanted me to say the county, but yeah. Sorry, that happened like literally Thursday, and I was fucking furious.
Dude, all those bureaucratic just I walk in with a bad attitude.
Yeah.
Like today, crossing that TSA stuff, I'm just like pissed already.
Yeah.
Before they even ask me for things, like, fuck, I gotta go through all this. Of course, I forget my headphones in the jacket. I got to go back and drop it off. And I'm like, all right, I kind of did this to myself. I can't be mad at them.
Yeah, when I left your house, so I came to your place with a fucking full tube of toothpaste. Mm-hmm. Well, they weren't having it coming back to Dallas.
They weren't letting you come through with
He was like, if you like, you can go buy a jar and squeeze this in. It's like, sir, throw it in the trash. Give me my shit. I'm not fucking causing a fuss over a $2 fucking thing of toothpaste.
I've said that a couple times. I'm not this poor. Got toothpaste for, you know,
Road Glide money.
Road Glide for, yeah, you know.
I remember when I was younger, man. This guy I worked for used to say, "I want to be rich enough to where," and this is kind of like before everybody just had a credit card in their pocket all the time. I want to be rich enough to where when the gas pump slows down, I want to be able to walk away. Like I put 20 on 5, and when it starts counting down slow at like $19.80. Putting it up. Fuck it, I ain't got my time is worth more than waiting for those last fucking 20 seconds.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It makes sense. Like it ain't worth the 32 cents it's gonna take.
But then also back then, it was like that was like a gallon.
That was damn near half your tank right there, dude.
Dude, when I started driving, gas was 75 to 85 cents.
Oh my god. Dude.
1997, 98.
Dude, I was tripping when we're out here. It's $2.30 right now.
Yeah,
it's $4.99
when I started driving in California, in San Diego.
Dude, it's $5 out there right now.
I remember them AM PM 79, 89, 99.
Dude, that'd be nice. I wish.
Those were the days.
I wish. It used to be super convenient to fill my Road Glide. Now it's like $30.
You know what's weird is, you know how they're like, I guess that some more shit I saw about them trying to pass the no gasoline powered vehicles, but the gas tax is what pays for most
100%.
of the roads.
It's an extra $1 a gallon out there.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
Yeah, that's what I was told by people who live there that actually read what prop this is and prop that is. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It's like if that gets implied, and I don't know, like
they started charging people, I believe, for the weight of the electric vehicles. So that's how they're making money on the EVs because they're pushing those, but then they weigh on average. Like I'm guessing here, but I believe it's like 200 pounds more than your regular, like a Toyota Camry versus the similar size Tesla. They're that much heavier. So now they're charging people based on the weight.
Yeah, that and then like the tire taxes they're going to put on it because you blow through them a lot faster. So that's how they're going to.
Yeah,
they're going to figure out their way to get their cut.
They're going to fuck us.
Yeah,
it's fucking ridiculous. But it's cool living out there. But the mountains are like quarter mile away. So like I'm only doing so much complaining.
Yeah, all of a sudden now you got to fucking pay a tax just to go down a trail at the mountain. You got to fucking, it's got like the subway thing you walk through.
Yeah, the turnstile to get through it.
There's a fence around it. It's like you had the money for the fence, but not. Oh man, I don't know. I that's what's hard about like riding motorcycles, like wanting to go to different places. It's just so easy to always pick going west because there's a lot between Texas and California to see and do. You know, you get 400 miles away from Dallas and you can go hit some mountain roads going through like New Mexico and stuff like that. As opposed to 400 miles east, you're still in like just tall trees, you know, haven't really seen much but trees. I don't know. I've said this a lot, like going to certain places east, you just go to these towns that have a lot of history, cool bars, you know, cool kind of like, you know, the Smokies are pretty rad. You know, but then you go west and it's like you get more for your buck as far as motorcycling. You know what I'm saying?
And you got like, I'm planning when I get back from here, I'm going to do a trip. And I thought about like riding out this way and doing something because I got a couple weeks off. But I think I've heard you say before, like you got to go through hell to get out of California.
It depends. It's perspective, 100%.
It's boring. no matter which route you take.
Well, in the summer, it is hell because as soon as you get across those mountains, it's 115, 20 degrees. But then again, it's like when you leave Dallas and you go west, I know exactly almost a mile marker where you see the first mountain because you don't see anything like that here. So when you start to see those peaks over the horizon, you're like, fuck, there they are.
There they are. I'm coming.
But by the time you get to El Paso, you're over it because that's all you've been doing is crossing mountains and hidden valleys for the last 150 miles.
Yeah.
And when you're already in the mountains and you're leaving them, it's like you're not really seeing something different.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you're still feeling the same thing that you've
now that
already
becomes
in.
boring. You might as well just be in the plains again.
But it's also like the difference between like if you're taking the time to get off the highway and go right through the shit versus if you're just gonna go jump on the 8 and go east. Because if you're gonna do that, it's gonna be fucking boring it's gonna be boring forever. Because there ain't shit on the 8 all the way to the 10, and there ain't shit on the 10 all the way to fucking the 20, and then you'll get to go see the landman area. You'll see some oil field shit. Maybe go stop at the cafe. You know what I mean? But it's but if you get off the road, I mean, fuck, you got Glamis not too far away from you. You can go through hell, riding up through Parker and all that's badass.
Yep.
And then cutting over to Prescott and then all that kind of shit.
Yep. I'm probably gonna do the 101 this week.
Nice.
Go up to San Francisco. I love that road just because it's that or the 5. So obviously you're gonna take the 101 from my perspective. Yeah. But I like that. It gets coastal. Yeah.
What is it like Carmel Valley or something like that? It's pretty cool to ride through that. Like off the 101, you can like take a little shortcut to get to Monterey and everything.
Oh yeah. Carmel.
It's not the best roads in the world, but it's
beautiful up there. Like Carmel by the sea and all that. That area is fucking amazing. I spent a bunch of time up there for work, and it's if like money wasn't a factor, that's probably where I'd live. Is Monterey.
Yeah, Monterey is I like those little beach towns, even like north of the city, like going dude, I thought Fort Bragg was pretty chill.
Yeah, up north of Santa Cruz and all that.
Yeah,
that's like, and we were talking about like going out east and some of the older buildings and all that. Like the West Coast doesn't really have that to that extent, but Monterey is like an older town out there.
Yeah,
so you go there and there's like history.
Yeah,
like you go down to
original mining towns, man. All the miners go out there to chase the American dream.
Yeah, like the Cannery Row down there and all that. Like there's cobblestone roads. Like it's cool. Like I don't know, if money wasn't a thing, that's probably where I'd be. Do you know One Clean Dinah on Instagram, Miles Sumner? He lives up on the preservation up there in Carmel, and it's fucking beautiful, dude. I'm like, you live here. I'm jealous. Like
I feel like sometimes when you're born, like if you're born into California, I feel like it's easier to figure out how to be there. But if you're like me, looking at just the cost of things, without having like a really good hookup opportunity to come do something there, I'm like, there's no way I could afford it.
That's kind of like, I'm lucky enough that the government's paying me to live there. Yeah. So now the mile marker has just changed for me.
Yeah.
It's just, I just need to do this now, as opposed to going
Get
from
there. Yeah.
just getting there would be insane. You'd have to have $100,000 saved up to do anything,
Yeah. With Britta being from there, we talked about it at different times off and on, like, we want to move back. That'd be cool. But like the places we love to be the most, we can't afford to live there.
Yeah.
We love being in Venice. Like that's our vibe. Like that's our vibe of a community, not the homeless part, but the rest of it, and there's no fucking way. Like, yes, we could probably go find like a fucking efficiency to go live in and like slum it. You know what I mean? But I need a garage. I need to be able to, we have shit. You know what I mean? Like
we need a shop.
I need a shop, and so then it's like, okay, well then, all right, I can afford to live in Palmdale.
Right? Like anybody can afford Lancaster, dude.
Yeah. Further east.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then at that point, it's like, well, you know what the good thing about living in Dallas is it's still relatively cheap enough to live, and you can afford to go travel a lot.
Because you're not crazy far from anything.
1,000 miles. We're 1,100 miles to Phoenix. New York's the same distance as San Francisco.
Oh, no shit.
What?
Yeah. So
Damn.
Really?
New York's 11. New York's like 1,800 miles. San Francisco's 1,800 miles.
No shit.
Whoa.
So
see, that's cool. Like for us,
It's like a fun
Sturgis.
fact.
Yeah.
Sturgis is 1,100 miles. Technically, Salt Lake, if you can go the fastest, like the shortest roads. It's like 1,000 miles. But if you have to go through Durango and everything, it kind of adds like a couple hundred miles to it.
Yeah.
Sturgis is 1,100 miles. Chicago's 1,000 miles. Milwaukee's 1,100.
Dude, that's badass.
You know,
Florida's like just over 1,000
yeah,
miles.
Daytona's 1,100 miles.
Right in the middle.
Because for us to leave, it's fucking impossible.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a 3-hour flight to get to Dallas. And
Yeah.
then you're that far from everything, you know? Like, speaking of Durango, have you ever been up to that rally up there? The Four Corners deal?
Nah, I've talked to Trevor a handful of times. But I think that, I don't know. I think that town's too small for a rally, personally.
It's a cool rally. I enjoy it. I don't know that the police like it up there, but
Yeah, that's the other problem. It's like,
the first couple of years Trevor started throwing it. It was cool. It was a cool vibe, but
yeah.
I think it's changed a little bit since I moved.
Yeah. It's unique. It's beautiful up there though. You can
Yeah.
go up there, you can go
Oh,
to
yeah,
Silverton.
love it.
Like
yeah.
it's cool. And it's kind of like an end of the year send off right there, like Labor Day or whatever that is.
End of the year or like beginning of the fourth
End of
quarter?
the season.
Look, dude, it goes below 70, we don't ride. Like, no, just kidding. I'm kidding.
They're built different.
No. But it is like kind of September, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
it gets cold
so
in
for
most
us,
of the country.
So
I
for
would
us,
say.
like once Sturgis is done, every weekend there's an event, and
Really?
until literally now, honestly. So we had Sturgis, and then you got a couple weeks, and then you have a fucking Four Corners if you want to do that. There's also Lolo Run and Party at the Pen is the same weekend up in Idaho. Then we have like the MotoGP, the Bagger Racing, which is King of the Baggers in Austin.
The Moto America
Got
one.
burnouts.
We got Burnouts, which is a show in North and Denton. It's a pretty big thing. Then there was another thing. We used to have Run to Terralingua.
Yep.
That one got canceled this year, but that was the weekend before Born Free Texas. Born Free Texas, which was a fucking absolute blast this year. What else was? I did somebody else's little camp out before Born Free. And then there was technically there was Down South camp out after that. That was in Florida.
That's out there at near Pensacola, right? Florida-Bama line.
That's the first stop, and then they go deeper into Florida for the big party of it.
Okay.
And then we had Lone Star, which Devin was hanging out with all the brothers.
Oh, it was great.
Oh,
There it is.
there you go.
Goddamn professional.
Yeah,
What
Lone Star's the biggest. So apparently, it's the biggest weekend rally in the country.
It's
Okay.
huge.
Like
Yeah.
Galveston Island, you get like 500,000 people for a weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's massive.
Fucking wild.
What else was after Galveston? Because I feel like we've had something every weekend since then.
I know. There was. Fuck, dude,
I didn't even know about the cruisy thing till you mentioned it to me down in Austin.
Because I was trying to go, but I thought it was in Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
And then I called Trent. I'm like, yeah. So, and I'm talking to him like, yeah, man, planning on making this work. And he's like, dude, it's in Austin. I was like, I missed that very important detail of location. But for us, like,
Toy runs and like ugly sweater contests.
like our busy season, like June through August, like there's something like obviously we kind of kick it off with Arizona, and then there's a couple things between then, but June, like Live Fast Rally, followed by Born Free, followed by Bay Area, followed by Pac West V Twin Show. Like those are all
that's like back to back to back.
that, and those are a couple weeks apart, and those are
Yeah.
all 4 events that are put on by other than Born Free friends of mine that like I'm not going to miss. You know what I mean? So that's kind of our busy. Like by the time September gets here, I'm like, like I'm not going anywhere. Like,
It doesn't end, man. It's like that's kind of the point of like saying like it'd be nice if people can find a way to work together, but at the same time, it doesn't mean like that there's just the opportunity to everybody just go be a part of someone else's show. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But
and you don't. There's a way to go about it too. That's very. Sorry, I'm getting away from the mic. It's tricky because you don't want to ask anybody else to reschedule. You want to work together.
Yeah.
But that's happened to me before. Like somebody else is doing something. I'm like, I don't want to ask them to move it because they've put just as much work into their thing as I have. You know. But we need like a calendar, like a big group calendar that we can.
we need
all
like a
reference.
multiverse calendar. Just like
Yeah.
there's so much shit going on, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you want to support everyone, but like people also have to understand if they oversaturate it. Now you're making
gets
people
harder.
pick and choose because not everybody can make everything.
Yep.
That's a big. I mean, that's not the reason. That's part of the reason why we wanted to end the camp out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't want to compete with all these people that decide to pop up a camp out in their area because it's more convenient for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole point of the camp out was for people to ride cross country.
Right.
You know, and then of course, you know, and it's like you don't want to be a dick and an asshole and be like, you know, hey, y'all, nobody can do a camp out. But it's like, all right, man, if you throw a camp out a month after mine or the week before or, you know, whatever, it's like people in your area aren't going to go to this one.
Right.
Therefore, they're not going to get the gist of what's going on. They're going to go to the thing that's most convenient to them.
Yep.
And the premise behind the camp out, there was no vendors at it. There was no bands playing. It was like you rode, and as you're riding in the rain or whatever, you can just see the people lifting their beers for the headlights coming down the road at fucking 11 p.m. on a Friday night.
Yep.
And you know you're going to get welcomed to a fucking party. You're probably not even going to have a chance to put your tent up. And that's
Yep.
what it was about. And it was that for a long time.
Yep.
How many years did you do it?
7. Yeah. We started the camp out and the bike out the same year we started the podcast.
Oh, shit.
So the podcast happened.
Trifecta.
Then the bike night happened. And then from people at the bike night, we got together and created the camp out. So
Do you always do it at Adams?
yeah.
Nice.
We had one going for a couple years, and then Sturgis this year kind of threw it off. But the first year, and we didn't advertise it at all, but the first year we went up to Big Sur. And then the second year we went out to Tahoe. And it
Dude,
was,
Big Sur would be so. I've camped there before.
dude.
I love camping, but what I was trying to get people to do, because everybody's like, oh, well, the camp out's gone. We're going to go do it anyway. It's like, dude, it's not a complicated thing.
Yeah.
Just like get your buddies together and go ride somewhere and go find a
Go
campground.
sleep outside.
Yeah.
It's
You know?
so fun.
Yeah.
Like, we totally fucked up the first year because we didn't realize how hard it is to camp in Big Sur. Like those
Yeah.
dates pop up and you have to be on there like at midnight on the 3rd or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
It's so
You know what I
annoying,
mean?
dude.
And we just showed up and thought we were going to camp somewhere and we weren't. So like the sun was starting to go down and we hadn't found anywhere to sleep and we're in the middle of Big Sur, an hour south of Monterey or whatever. And we'd had a couple beverages. I'll say that. But we found this like park that you could camp in. And there was like a check-in box that you had to leave the deposit in. It was like $20 per vehicle. And we're like, dude, we've been drinking. We're out here. It's getting dark. We don't know where we're going to stay. So I'm just kind of like, fuck it, dude. Let's go in here and sleep. And Dan's like, there's 8 of us. Dan's like, absolutely not. Like, pay every single bike as it's a vehicle. That way, if anybody rolls up on us, we're covered.
Yeah.
So we got 8 of us. We had like $160 in this envelope that we are like trying to get into the drop box, right?
Yeah.
And like a state game warden pulls up on us.
What are you guys
And he's
doing?
like, what are you guys doing? We're like, oh, we're going to camp here. We're trying to pay. And we like show him the envelope. And he like grabs it and he's like, oh, damn. Like you guys, he caught us like doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and he was like, where are you guys? What are you doing here? You know?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we're just trying to camp. He's like, you can't camp here. We're like, oh, fuck. He's like, all right, sit tight. And he brings us to another campground that I guess they keep a couple of them open just in case. And he sets us up there. We roll in there at like 9 o'clock at night. Everybody's got like a 12 rack in their bags, you know? And he's like, hey, you guys have a good time, but don't give me a reason to come back here. And that was it. We got to camp in Big Sur.
Like adults, yeah.
Like
That's
adults,
awesome,
dude.
dude.
It was sick. And then the next year, we went up to Tahoe. And I kind of fucked up. There was like 8 of us the first year. There was probably 16 to 20 of us the second year. Everybody else took off work that Friday except for me. So they all left at like 10 a.m. to go up to Tahoe from Lemoore. I didn't get off work till like 4. So like I got off work, got on the bike, hammered up there. I'm 6 hours behind everybody. I get there and it's fucking freezing in August, like up there by Tahoe. And I get there, and it's kind of like you said, though, like you pull in, everybody's got beers. Like I pull in, and before I'm getting off the bike, Dan's bringing me like a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Like, hey, go. I think it was Mike brought over. He was like, go ahead and warm up, dog. Like, you know, like it was just, there was no work associated with it. It was just fun, you know? And Sturgis kind of fucked that up for us this year, but we'll figure it out next year.
Well, those are the fun things, man. Those little small events turn into big things. Our first camp out, the first time we went to Adam Sandoval's campground, we were going to his, like, the beginning of his Stubborn America party that he was starting to create.
Does he still have that campground?
He told me at this year's camp out that he had sold it and then it fell through.
Okay.
But I got other ideas of shit I want to do that I kind of just want to take a year off from that stuff. And like I probably told you about the nitty gritty thing that we have going on here. That is, it's an event that's already taken place. So we're going to try to just bring a different element to it.
Yeah.
Or bring the more modern bike element to it. And it's got the same vibes as our camp out. You know, it'll be fun. And plus, it's somebody else's event, so I'm not having to advertise and promote it and fucking. You know, when you put an event on, you're like, it's kind of like when you host a party at your house and you're waiting for the first 5 people to show up. After that, you're kind of like,
yeah, you're nerve wracked. Like, oh, no,
is this gonna work? Like, yeah, this could suck.
Yeah, you know. So once that, to me, it alleviates the stress of it, and you get to, I don't know, just, like putting on events, as you know, it's like it feels good in after the fact, but the amount of nerves that go into it, the amount of like anxiety, if you will, it's just kind of do I enjoy this as much? Is it worth that much anguish sometimes? Like the bigger things get, you know, it's like, and we never set the camp out to be a profitable thing. It was just like we tried to make it cheap and easy for people to do it. So it's, how do you implement finances into that? And then when you're fucking promoting something for 6 months in advance and you're trying to put all this stuff together, making phone calls to get stuff to give away to people and all this, and you're like,
you're trying to coordinate fucking bathrooms and everything. Like, it's a lot more work.
And then you're like, okay, well, I think I'm going to put like a $15 a head, you know, wristband thing. And everybody's like, oh my God, Jay's sold out. He's fucking, he's just all in for the money. He doesn't care about the culture. And it's like, God damn, dude.
I just came out of my pocket $2,000 for this. Like,
yeah.
They turn it into this big, you know, organized thing, and then, you know, people still want to bitch about things. He's literally making no money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, we would sell t-shirts. And, you know, the thing was that, like, Adam, because we never did make money on it, Adam, like, the first year he gave us, like, the third year after COVID, he gave us, like, a check for $500. And I'm like, thank you. After you just made $50,000 off of this, I appreciate this. It's kind of like at that point, like, just keep it. But it wasn't really that way. But he did cut us some check. And so what I did with that money was I gave it to the boys, and that was that we put it towards our hotels for our trips.
Right.
And then it was like $1,000, you know, for like the next 3 years. And then like the most ever was $2,000.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's a cool way to do it, though.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool, but I just like, I felt bad. Like, just, you know,
like
the homies did help, you know, it was part, like, whatever, you know. So here it's, you know, I mean, we had a good time in Nashville once on it, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, like making it, the other thing is like, even though it wasn't an issue with the homies, because it was just us homies, when it became like a big deal, all right, how much are you putting in versus how much this? Like, if we were going to make money here, who gets it and why?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's where I didn't even want to fuck with all that. I'd rather just kind of end that and start something new.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I do another event, I'm getting fucking paid.
I get it. You were the one talking to me about, because I'd never charged anybody to do a bike show. And then I think the way we did it for the West Coast Classic was you paid $30, you got a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And that helped fund some of the trophy stuff, you know. Eventually you got it, like, all this shit costs money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hate it too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I wish I could do it for free, but
the problem is that, like, people need to, like, the ones that do want to bitch about it, they need to understand that if they want cool shit to exist, it costs money. Everything else you do costs money. Yep. Every fucking thing else.
It's the time alone. I mean, that's why the saying, time is money, man.
You know, and to me, it's like, if you're the person that doesn't want to be there, then it's just not for you. If you don't want to spend, if you have a nice bike, but you're bitching because you have to spend $30 to put it in a bike show, then custom motorcycles ain't for you, bro.
I was about to say,
I mean?
if you're trying to get into building some of these bikes and you're worried about that, then you're in the wrong fucking game.
Well, it's like building and bitching that you didn't win. What happened?
Yeah. I mean,
just like
there's been plenty of events where, like, you know, a lot of the ones in Sturgis, it would cost like $50, $100 to get in to do it. Like the FXR show is different because it's more of it's just a thing. You just go in there and then like all the like brands, like you know, like your Joe Kids and your fucking, you know, Bare Knuckle Pauls and Boosted Brad, ourselves, like we would have our own award to give away to our pick. So it was more like the community brought their own shit to the table to give away to the people that the bikes that we liked.
That's pretty sick.
And it's a cool thing to do, but it's a lot of crowd participation, right?
Yeah.
Right.
As opposed to like what you're doing is like you're putting on an event where you have these really fucking rad trophies that cost a lot of money to make. Maybe you should get them done in China.
Yeah. I'm barely.
Get some of that.
My fucking leeway time is already outrageous, dude. I think I'm trying to send this overseas. You saw me at Sturgis the day before the show.
Yeah, just fucking
putting them together, dude.
Dude, we were fucking putting them together in the living room. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody shipped. Where they ship those one parts to?
Dude, to AK.
Yeah. Oh, to AK. Okay.
The
Shout out to AK.
Yeah, the acrylic guy. We were
Dude,
like,
he wasn't even home.
I know.
yeah, that was the
He
problem.
literally hit me up.
He was in like Florida.
Hey, bro, I need a favor. Can you go to my house
And grab
get
us.
this? It's for Jace,
Yep.
who also wasn't around.
Right.
Yeah. I wrote
But
up to.
did you just ship them to the? There was
So,
some miscommunication.
There was a
right? That's kinda
miscommunication,
what it
yeah.
was.
And, I mean, if you've seen these trophies, like I wish I need to just like build an extra one, but it's like $500 for one.
Yeah.
Like a prop you can travel with.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
just need to like set it somewhere.
Yeah.
But and this is all a credit to Dan because he kind of designed and had this idea, but we have multiple different people that are involved in this, and we've narrowed it down to 3 different guys.
Yeah.
So we've got our build aluminum guy, Mosport Machine. We've got our acrylic guy that does the inserts for the plastic, and then Bamco does the hardware. So before it was a lot more people than that, and depending on how crazy we want to get, sometimes it does go.
Yeah.
We get 4 or 5 people involved. Everybody was on the same page. The guy that makes the acrylic got the wrong information. And
That
he
wasn't
sent
his
it.
first fuck up though, right?
No,
That
not even
wasn't-
close. Not even close. The Thunderdome. It's a thing for a reason. We made these trophies for, dude, you gotta understand, like I am a fucking child.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I'm 6'1", 230, 32 years old. I am a little kid. Like I get giddy. Like if I do something cool, I will sit there and watch it for like 20 minutes. And we get these fucking trophies. I'm like, I'm gonna do a fucking bike show in Sturgis. This is the fucking Super Bowl. This is as cool as it gets. We get the fucking trophies made, like the fucking bill gets cut out. It's all in the shape of a V-twin. I'm like, fuck yeah. The acrylic gets done. It's like red, white, and blue. Fucking shifter show at the Thunderdome or whatever it is. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, fuck yeah. That's so cool. And I post a reel of it and I'm like, that's so cool. And then like later I'm like looking at the reel because I'm like, this is so cool. And I realized they left the R out of Thunderdome. And this is like, I'm leaving for Sturgis tomorrow. So it was the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
So obviously we sent it to old boy, and he was like, "Fuck, my bad."
Yes.
Like all overnight this, and he sent it straight to the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
which is why I was putting them together the day before.
Dude, I feel his pain, dude. I fucked up and misspelled shit before on helmets. You know?
I mean, I get it if it's like a hard word, man, but like Thunder's 7 letters. I get that one right. No, I'm just kidding.
Thunder.
That dude
always
does
like
great
the-
work.
it's the simplest words. It's just like all the shapes are there, but maybe one really important letter is not there that's not really a known shape.
Yeah.
You know? Like if you're putting like, let's put like the word heavy on the back of this and you leave it the A out or something. Because it looks just like the E in a way, depending on what kind of font it is. And
Heavy.
It's like that banner at National
they-
City when they changed it.
Dude. Yeah, so
Davison.
we fucked. I'm not gonna say we. This is pre-Taylor actually, but Coronado Beach Harley just changed their name to National City. So we got a banner out front that says National City Harley Davidson, not Davidson. Davison. Davison.
I guess was that an easy mistake?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, dude. Like, but yeah, so that with yours, that was fucking sick too because I was trying to make it out. And then some of my shit with the Navy was like not gonna line up, and I was like, I can't. But we just sent him out here.
Yeah.
Had the Texas flag. I was like, that was fucking cool.
yeah, it was originally we were talking about doing a whole like show and having not just awards for the FXR tour. But you know, once you couldn't make it out, it's like, look, dude, I can't manage a whole show by myself. And I mean, fortunately, all the guys from Bike Night were there to help, and it worked out well. We were able to get y'all's pick through FaceTime.
Through FaceTime. It was
shit.
that was so funny too because like he FaceTimes me and it's like 10 bikes and I'm like, I like this bike and I like this bike. And I can't pick between the two. I was like, hang on, let me call you back. I'm gonna call Dan. So I called Dan. I'm like, yo, dude, you gotta
these
pick the
out.
bike.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean I gotta pick the fucking bike? Like he's never even met you. He's like, I gotta pick the bike. I was like, I narrowed it down to 2, motherfucker. Like just pick the one. Like, but that was sick.
Yeah.
Through FaceTime, getting that done was pretty cool.
Where did you hold it? What was the event?
Strokers, where I'm gonna take you guys
sick,
tomorrow.
okay.
Yeah. So it's a pre-party for Born Free
Free.
Texas. And Born Free is just, it's growing here and it's so different than what it is in California that
I want to check it out, dude.
it's
year I
just
wanna come out.
you can't come to this one thinking Born Free California. You got to come like listen to the people that's been at it and then come and plan accordingly.
Yeah.
It sounds a little more free than Born Free.
Oh,
California.
yeah. Because it's
1000%.
Texas.
Yeah.
There, I mean, trust me, if Mike and Grant didn't have to go through all the shit they have to go through to put on a show in California of that scale, it would be what it was, 10, 15 years ago. It would be what it is in Texas. And even Texas has some regulations. Mm-hmm. I mean, the hardest thing that's kicking our ass is we don't have a fire out there in a while, which sucks.
Yeah.
It was freezing this year for the first night. But for the most part, it's like you're at it. It's a rally-esque. Like you're there all night. You don't have to leave. You can put a tent up wherever the fuck you want.
That's so fucking tight.
And so, it just worked out well to where, we found we had done what we had done the last couple of years because we've never had a booth, never done a booth, never had a vendor space. We don't really have T-shirts or anything like that.
The way you set your booth up was so sick.
Did
you see how he set it up? It was fucking cool.
I'll show you pictures of it.
I'm
like
It's Fast Life Hill, dog.
Yeah.
Fucking tight, dude.
Well, you know what? Like we always, I don't know, like being a part of everything, like I'm very observant. Like I'm always, what would I do differently? Not in a way of like trying to be shitty or whatever, but just like
forward thinking. Yeah.
The aspect of like having a table, you being on one side, the other person or the other people on the other side, it just, I think it separates.
It's very transactional.
Yes.
Yes.
So
instead of like inclusive and like
a lifestyle. So, similar to like what I think the Thunderdome was with you guys having the spot there, all of a sudden we had a place to go hang out with people we knew. That's kind of the same thing with we wanted our booth to be a place where you could park your bike at it and kick it.
Yep.
I mean, yes, we have shit for sale, and yes, we didn't sell that much because it wasn't very transactional, but I wouldn't trade what I hoped to have made selling T-shirts for the vibe that we all experienced and got from the event. I mean, our booth had people kicking it at 3 a.m.
Yeah, it sounds like you prioritized the experience and the hang more so than like selling product or whatever,
We found a loophole to, instead of not burning firewood, we can burn charcoal.
Okay.
So what we would do is like we put charcoal in there, and then everyone's.
This fucker just tells me, "Hey, I need you to go to the Walmart and give me charcoal."
We throw a piece of wood in there, just kind of get a little bit of fire going, and then like just stand there and kind of block it. So they wouldn't see. But it was just a good time, man. And I think that like, I mean, honestly, listening to what you guys have been saying about the Live Fast rally, like that sounds like I'd like to go to it, but it's so far. You know what I mean? It's like, especially when I know I'm going to be back for Born Free, it's within like a couple of weeks of it. You say
maybe we can find a way to make it work.
The V-twin, Brent show up there.
Bradshaw.
Oh, Bradshaw. Sorry. Bradshaw up there. Like I remember when I first did the podcast with him was when he was talking about doing it. Now it's been 2 years and
now he's doing it.
Yeah.
What a cool guy, dude.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't really know him at all, but it's like
Brad's
just get the vibe,
He's such a genuine human being, man.
Yeah.
Like, and Brad's just no cowboy. Like, he's not like that dude will fuck you up. Like, don't get it twisted. But he's one of the kindest human beings I've ever met. He gave probably like 2 years ago. He came up to me at Born Free, walked up behind me, and like I'm not small, and he put his arms around me and picked me up off the ground. And I remember being like, "Holy shit, you are a grown ass man! Like I'm in danger." Like, but he's a sweetheart. Like he was giving me a genuine hug. My feet were off the ground. I was pissed. You know what I mean? Like,
demasculine.
Yeah, I was like, "Put me down now, Brad." Like,
Well, we were on a road trip with the homies doing our Pacific Northwest, and I don't know what it was. I think he hit us up, and we ended up meeting him at the dealership not too far. I think it was in Eugene. Yeah, Timbertown.
Okay, yeah.
So we met him at Timbertown, and it was just like cool to meet him. And then because I made that face to face, I was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna come back up here." And I did a road trip to go see my buddy Bruce up there, and then went and did a podcast with him.
How cool is his shop too?
Dude, behind his house, I fucking wish I had that.
Oh, dude, it's so badass.
To me, like that's what I would love to have. We were talking about the kind of places we would want to live. I said like I've got Britta convinced to do like an old like warehouse or some shit. But if not, I would do a small house with a detached garage behind it. Yeah. To me, that's like that's fucking
dream right there. Yeah.
That's goddamn Fast and Furious vibes, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yep. Dude, and it's sick too with his event. Like when we go up there, and that was where I met Mike and everybody else, there was probably at least 15 people staying at his house.
Yeah.
I mean, like Roji was there. The Goo was there. Dave was there. I mean, Kevin from Cobalt Cycles, like, the first time I met him, we become great friends. You know what I mean? Like, and we all just found a place to sleep at Brad's residence, and his wife Amber was like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. It was, that experience is like not something really you can replace. You know what I mean? Because, and I've said this a million times on my show, but I always have more fun like the day before an event.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
Because there's no work to be done, and I'm just with the homies. You know, like even at Bay Area, the Bay Area Throttle Fest that Jackie and Steven put on, like the day before the first one, we all went to a bar and we were just hanging out. And there was no work to be done. It was just 15, 20 homies out there and no pressure. No like, hey, you got to like, judging the bike show it's stressful, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I've never done a bike show and not have somebody leave pissed off. There's always somebody mad. But like the day before any of that bullshit starts and you're just with the boys or girls, whatever, it's sick.
Yeah.
That's more fun than the event.
You should make an award that nobody knows about, but you give it to the most pissed off dude at the end of the show. Hey, man, sorry, like a...
What can I call that? Because I am...
That's the participation.
The biggest,
Why you mad, bro?
Why you mad, bro? I'm getting a lot of
It ain't
pressure to
that
do a clapper class, but it's not really my market.
Well, if you do, don't fucking make it a $400, $500 trophy. That shit needs to
Make it out of wood.
make it. No, don't even do that. Like, make it exact, like the same trophy, but make it out of fucking like something super cheap. Like, what's
Acrylic
the
or
corrugated like foam board or some shit?
We had a
Coroplast,
cardboard backing on it, and
at Bay Area. The people kept wanting us to do it, so I called up Jay from Whiskey Dicks and was like, "Do you want to do it?" He was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah.
So he made an exact replica of our trophies, but made out of wood. And then the guy that I think this is the guy that won it, like hit a bird or some shit on the way from Oregon. Like he rode his clapper down from Oregon, hit a bird, and like blew up the windshield. So he actually called Clockworks and bought him a windshield, and then awarded him the clapper class trophy with the new windshield. Like, so, that's the shit though, dude. Fun. That's fun. Like I forgot about that, but that's the shit that makes it fun. But
Yeah, the second year we tried to do like a bike show at our camp out, but it was more of a mixer. It's the way I'd like to use it better. And
just people mingling
we
about it.
tried to like say it so much at the beginning. Look, we're not necessarily picking the best bike here. We're picking the raddest dude.
Whoever was the coolest guy this weekend is going to go home with something.
And it was the same way like the FXR show is, where you have, like I think Devin made a trophy. Didn't you do something? My buddy Matt, Hang 'em High Customs. Like I get all the homies to make their pick, and everybody kind of like goes through and meets people and sees the bikes. And yeah, some of them got shit because they had a cool bike, but they were also cool people, right? And the same thing, man. Like, this whole camp out's about positivity and good vibes, and there was people getting pissed, leaving hard. Like, if you only came to the camp out to do the show, like you really didn't need to be there.
Yep.
Because you didn't get the vibe.
Yep. And it was kind of funny for the first like couple months that we were doing this. Because like, unfortunately, I'm friends with people. Not unfortunately, but like my friends like Trevor and Porky, like Bulletproof Water, these guys.
Yeah.
Bro, if they enter a bike show, they can win it anywhere in the country on any given day. So like after they won 2 trophies, I was like, boys.
They need to be just invited builders now.
Yes. Like, and now I bring them in to judge and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how, like, there's been a few people, like Miles is one guy, Jen's another person who has won multiple. And I'm like, you guys, if you guys want to be a part of this, I'll 100%, like, we'll put you up. You can judge, work the booth, whatever, so that you can be, I want you guys around. But don't come back next year with that bike. You know what I mean? Like, but that's kind of how we've mitigated that, because I need to get some fresh blood.
It dissuades people from coming. If
Exactly.
all you do is go over there and clean house every year, year after year.
Yeah.
And everyone's gonna be like, I'm not gonna waste my time.
Dude.
The people that do that, that's what they what they worry about.
We this guy Trevor, who I've met recently from Arizona, came out for the West Coast Classic that Dustin and I put on.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this. Like, I'd met him a couple times. Super nice guy, like just super easy to get along with. Had a really clean Road King. And he's at the show, West Coast Classic. And the only show that I've ever done that I've done any judging was the one with you in Sturgis. Like, I give that shit away. I'm like, if you won it last time, come on, you pick. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. So I didn't know any of this was happening, but This guy Trevor ends up winning best bagger at West Coast Classic, and it was a cool fucking trophy. It was like we had Bamco got them like coated, so they were like black, blue, gold, like it was cool. Trevor wins, and I don't know anything about this, and Dan comes up to me afterwards, and he's like, "Did you have anything to do with him winning that trophy?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "I never met that guy before. I was talking to him." He goes, "You know he's been at every show we've ever put on, except for Pac West. He's been at every show." And I'm like, "What?" And Dan's like, "Yeah, I was just in passing talking to him." And he was telling Dan, who has made and designed these trophies.
Yeah.
He was telling Dan about our trophies from a year ago in Arizona and what's different. He didn't know who Dan was. So he's telling him how we've done this all different every time.
That's
and then he ends up winning one. I'm like, that's fucking cool. That's the kind of guy I kind of want to win. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then it was funny because that night we went out to the bar and he was there. And I was like, hey, like, let's get beers, dude. But
isn't that the best? So like you were kind of talking about with the Bay Area Throttle Fest, it's like those pre-game nights, and even like we just did, we had a pre-party, not a pre-party, but we had a pre-thing for this past weekend up in Cowboy. But fuck, dude, if we didn't have a great time, and the after party, to me, it's like that's a great chance. Like the bikes are now separated from you. Now you got to go be a cool person.
Now you get to go be homies with your homies.
Exactly. I love that aspect.
Beautiful mountains. They say Texas doesn't have mountains. They do. You just got to go over to like Terra Lingua.
Where is Terra Lingua? I've heard you guys mention it a few times.
It's on the border of Mexico, and it's like between.
What town is the border? You know.
Presidio.
There's a big border for Texas.
Presidio's the major. It's a crossing point, but Terra Lingua is kind of like it's a ghost town. It's kind of tucked in there.
Chihuahua, then, no, or something.
Yeah, close to it.
You've got El Paso, that's got a completely different vibe in West Texas. You can go to the Panhandle, which is a completely different vibe. You can go to East Texas, which is all going to be piney woods.
Swamps.
You can go to hill country.
Yeah. Texas has it all, but it's also big. It's just like California.
Yeah. I think they said like if you're down in like what am I thinking? McAllen. From McAllen to the top of the Panhandle, it's the same distance as it is from leaving Texas to go to the Canadian border.
And McAllen is closer to like the Gulf, like right?
Yeah.
McAllen is the very southern tip of Texas.
It's almost by Starbase.
But that's not the last one. Isn't Brownsville the last?
So McAllen
last
is
port of
actually
entry.
right next to Brownsville.
Okay.
They're down there in the corner, the very, very bottom.
When I was in high school,
the taint of Texas.
I had a buddy who was playing drums for a band. They were all from Texas. They all moved out to San Diego. They're all from Brownsville. And they had a fun fact. This is the only other port of entry in the United States that's like a beach town, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
They were super cool dudes.
Think about that.
They all rented, like, they lived in Lemon Grove in the town we were living. And it was like a house from the 20s, huge house, old and fucking scary, and like cool detached garage, dude.
Yeah,
that was
nice.
sick.
Yeah.
Got some squirrels in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that alleged.
Back to the thing?
Yeah. I never cut it off.
Oh, okay.
He'll just clip out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's easier.
Yeah.
Than starting it and
Punch in,
stopping
punch
it.
out.
Yeah, the Texas is long, but I mean, there's, when you're young, I think when you're like, I've grown to appreciate a lot more of things in Texas than I definitely even noticed or gave a fuck about early on.
But it was until you got around and saw some shit, right?
Well, yeah, just what quality of life, the way you live. Like, I think when you're young, everything is about like, I want to be in the cool spots. Mm-hmm. I want to be close to the cool shit. And there's I'm just now coming to terms with living here because I'm used to living in the city.
Right.
And so now I'm like, okay, man, this is kind of digging
quieter,
it.
yeah.
Like I don't, when I leave a lot, I don't have to worry about my wife being, alone at a house, as much and stuff. And so to me, it calms, like it's just peaceful. Right. I mean, we love Austin. Austin's a good fucking time, but Austin's busy, dude. It's like you might as well be LA. It's so many people, so much.
Traffic sucks. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool shit there, but you have to find it. Mm-hmm. And I know every fucking cool thing in Dallas.
Yeah.
A lot of Fort Worth. I can tell you just about every fucking cool thing between here and Dallas North. So to me, it's like I've already fucking figured this place out.
Yeah.
So to go somewhere new and figure out something, I have to be ready for that challenge. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when people come to here, I love the feeling of I want to show you some shit.
Dude, show me where Kennedy got shot today. That was sick, dude.
It's like, oh, you want to go in the HEB Kind of. Like, let's go with that. So you're too into that. Maybe you can tell.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's like a good host, you know?
Yeah.
It's pouring rain. There's people taking pictures of the grassy knoll. I was like, I've been seeing this place on TV my whole life.
Yeah. And we just got here too. We got all day tomorrow. That'll be cool to continue
go
the
get
tour.
a picture there.
Reenact it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love California, man. I love being out there. When I'm there, I feel plugged in. I wish that the connection in NorCal still I could work the way I used to, because I loved coming up to California for like 2 weeks and just fucking jamming out work and knocking it out. I got to go to a lot of shows up in Northern California because of it, like Street Vibes and the Dixon show up there. And there's just like that was the first part of America that I felt like was my second home because of how much time I'd spend there, you know. And honestly, like if I was ever gonna move to California, that's the most familiar place.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right, dude. And, you know, I'm thinking like in this role, like we were talking earlier about the Born Free and how, you know, through the show, we're able to reach out to AK and it kind of happened.
Yeah.
I think in that was just like an example that we can do it across state lines. And like, I mean, the brand is national, you know, why shouldn't we be able to like work with each other and like connect the dots and
make it all work.
Let's see what happens, dude.
Yeah. And like
it's exciting.
Like you guys know, it's like, you know, Born Free has a contract with another, you know, entity in that space. So finding a way to kind of, you know, work in there and be a part of that is, you know, definitely important. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's 25 look like for you, man? Like, aren't you trying to get your schedule down?
Yeah. So, and I mean, this hasn't been, we've had a lot of conversations about this and like anybody in the circle kind of knows, I think you and I have talked about it, but we're going to announce our series. Essentially, it's our schedule for the year. The way it's going to work, I need to figure out if the January show is going to be part of it or not. I don't know. It might be its own entity because I'm putting on a deal with Fishtails Magazine. Michael over there is a fucking rad dude. And we're marketing that in kind of a cool way. It's performance versus Viklas. And the bikes that he brings in are fucking amazing.
Yeah, they're
so I'm like, I appreciate that.
So we're going to lose. Performance bikes are going to lose.
Oh, I'm coming with some fucking heat, though. I'll lose, but we're going out swinging. But
you should come out.
That's when you got to call Bulletproof and get him back in. Hey,
dude,
man,
hey, look.
you can bring your bike in this show.
Yeah, exactly. But
we should get you out there.
January 25th.
Well, yeah, we got a stacked month here.
Yeah,
getting ready for Mama Tried and all that shit.
Yeah, I got to figure out if that one's going to be a part of the show or not, but. We're gonna announce a series basically, and we've got shows from March out to October. So the way it's gonna work is you come out, enter a show, you know, starting in April or whatever it is, and at the end of the year, the West Coast Classic is always gonna be the last one that we do for the year. It's always gonna have $1,000 grand prize.
Nice.
If you've won one of the shows, or not won best overall, but if you've won a trophy at one of our shows for the year, you get free entry into that show. So that's kind of the way to tie it all together. But it's going to be like a band tour, you know?
Nice.
Like we've got, I mean, Sturgis will be out there.
Better do the shirt than tour.
Yeah,
right?
Dates and like shit. I got a whole nother shirt to make there. But
there you go.
That's kind of the big thing is just like allowing people the time to get their builds done and like not announcing it a month before. Like you can look at the schedule and be like, all right, man, they got something going on in January and they got something going on in July, in September, and all these times and places that we can be somewhere, you know? So that's kind of, it was basically already my schedule. It's just bringing legitimacy to it. It's kind of how I'm looking at it. Cause like I've been paying attention for years now to somehow these guys do it, you know? And I'm like, I feel like that's the next logical move, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think that it's already had great success just because of your connection to the scene. You know, it's not like you put on a show and then you disappear until the next show.
No.
You know what I mean? Having the podcast is also good to be able to kind of talk about it and keep the fire going, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, you're kind of catering to the hottest market right now, right? So it's like the bikes that are getting built right now are all in the vein of this, you know? Like I said, I can't wait till you have it national, like nationwide.
Dude,
that's going to be wild.
It's coming.
Getting out of the parking lot.
We're getting out of the parking lot, dude. And that's the goal. Like there's a possibility, I won't say too much about it, but there's a possibility of us doing a show on the East Coast in kind of my old stomping grounds out in Virginia. And if that happens, I'll be like a fucking kid in a candy store, dude. Like that would be.
You know, Oliver from the Cut Rate, He helps put on something at Ocean City Bike Week.
Yeah, up in Maryland, Ocean City,
Yeah.
Maryland. Yeah.
So I mean, that might be an easy end.
Yeah,
to
that'd be
something
cool.
already going on that you can.
That would be that whole Virginia, like the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, that whole area. Like, I lived out there for 10 years.
I want to ride that Chesapeake Bay tunnel.
You haven't done it?
We were gonna do it one year. I haven't done it yet.
Oh, dude, it's cool. I've
It
done
is?
it. Yeah, we did it going up to Ocean City one time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Ocean City is kind of what it is, but it's those Bay Bridge tunnels out there. Like you have the Hampton Roads, the Modern Merrimack.
I did the one like if you're like we came in to Virginia Beach or Virginia whatever. Like I guess it was the beach, but we weren't all the way on the beach. We went to that old bike night that they did for a long time. I don't know if you ever saw that stuff.
Yeah, you're coming probably to the Portsmouth one.
Yeah. It's like it was a
Through
short
downtown
one.
Norfolk. Yeah. That's the Portsmouth tunnel. I don't know what the name of it is, but Portsmouth's hard to say. But
Virginia's for lovers, man.
dude, that was kind of where I started riding. Like to put on a show there would be so fucking cool with me.
Yeah.
You know. But we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I feel like there's opportunity, finding a way to kind of get the right connections to get it in. I mean, that's all it is conversations, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, having something kind of like spread out to where you have, and that's honestly something that, Cruzy and I were talking about. It's like finding a way to, there's always a lot going on, the Rockies West, right?
Yep.
Between Arizona Bike Week and then, you got Durango, you got everything that takes place in California. Finding things to kind of on this side of it that's like young is hard.
Yep.
Born Free is probably one of the few. And then, I mean, there's tons of small events, but like, let's just say to the scale of what, Durango is or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Laconia.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And that it's kind of a blessing and a curse for us because you can stay in California and you can do shit year round, which is fucking amazing. But I want to go to Daytona. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go. I don't know if I want to put a bike show on there, but like, I want to go see more than just California, So,
yeah, I mean, that's the argument, man. It's always been like, well, fuck, I get it. You don't really need to leave, you know? But then again, like, I would ask, Roji and those guys, like, if these dudes ride the entire country,
There's
you know
a
what I mean?
reason.
They do it too fast, in my opinion, but that's just
They do it in
because
like
I
a
want to
week.
talk some shit, you know what I mean? But like that's cool. Like they're going out and they're fucking seeing the land, and there's a lot of cool shit in between. It's perspective, like we were saying. You learn to appreciate different parts of the country when you get to a certain age.
Yep.
You appreciate a nice 40-year-old woman, dude. She sees it.
They end that at the Live Fast rally every year.
They do?
They go,
Oh,
they do
hell
their
yeah.
roll, and then they end it at the rally.
I didn't know they did that. No,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Jerry almost died on it a couple years ago. He got all dehydrated.
Fuck, it seemed like
I remember that.
Yeah, it
it
was
seemed
bad.
like he had a rough time getting up to Alaska this year.
Oh, I mean,
You get him a
Yeah.
Pan America, dude.
I know, right? He did something. I forget what he did. Something happened with his bike.
Yeah, like some
I
wheels.
think a couple of his trips he's had problems. Like I remember the carbon wheels he grenaded one. I think last year.
Brogy grenaded one too. Brogy went over like a drive shaft and just exploded his front rail.
I remember that too.
Yep.
God
Out
damn.
in Tennessee. You've been out to Tennessee and like done the Smoky Mountains and all that, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that is one of the cooler trips I ever went on. I had a buddy that was getting out of the Navy and he was like, I just want to go for like a week. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So we went, we lived in Virginia. We did, on accident, we ended up doing the whole Blue Ridge Parkway, like the 315 miles or whatever. And at the end of the day, every day, we took our time with it. We didn't, you could crush that in a day or two. We didn't. We took our time.
There's a Forrest Gump spot there
Is there?
on Grandfather Mountain. So there's like this little zigzag. If you're going to the very top of Grandfather Mountain, it's got a big sign that said Forrest Gump ran this hill.
Oh, really?
And it's where he zigzags up.
We would do like at the end of the day, flip a coin, like heads would be find a bar and tails would be keep going.
Hell yeah.
And we ended up at like the Cherokee Reservation and at a casino, like did all kinds of wild shit. And there was no plan. Went up to Mount Mitchell, which is like the tallest mountain east of the Mississippi.
Nice.
So
That
like
sounds awesome. No plans. Let's just
yeah.
go.
We had like 10 days off and just did it. We didn't even plan on being on the parkway. Like that wasn't even.
You just like, yeah, there's a lot of cool towns off it. Little Switzerland, Asheville, get down into all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Boone, I think.
Roanoke. all
Roanoke,
that.
yeah.
Like there's some cool spots out there, man. And that's when we did it. I don't know what that road looks like now, but when we did it, it had just been freshly paved. Like
Ooh, yeah.
it was fucking beautiful, man. And it's not a road like
You're not ripping it.
No, you're not doing 80 through there. You're doing 40 and you're appreciating it. You know what I mean? It's a different, we did Cades Cove and all that. Like I saw a bear. It's the first time I'd ever seen a bear.
I saw a black bear on there once.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. That's like, I didn't really get it. That's like a wild ass animal right there. Like that motherfucker lives outside. Like that's a time.
Hibernate.
Yeah. Like
that's what I was going to ask you about the Tahoe camp deal. I was like, every time I've ever camped somewhere where it's like, okay, the campground's letting me know there's bears in this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Dude.
My buddy Brian TBJ told me this story once about he was camping and he was in a tent on a bike trip and he could see the bear and hear it sniffing at the tent on the outside of it. Yep. I'm like, dude, no, fuck that.
Good. I was out there. I mean, with what I did for work up in Lemoore, we would go up to like some high meadows all the time and just like practice getting in and out of zones with the helicopter, like landing in tall trees. And we were out there. We were like 8,000 feet up and landed in some meadow. And it was like, hey, I got to piss. You know what I mean? So like get out of the helicopter and I walk out there and I'm standing out there taking a piss. And I turn back at the helicopter and there's a bear walking like 40 yards away from the aircraft.
Damn.
And I'm just like, and is the biggest, brown bear, black bear, like it's not a grizzly, it's a black bear, but it's brown. It's the biggest bear I've ever seen. Fuck. And I remember like he was not concerned with that helicopter at all. And I just remember being like, he ain't fucking afraid of that. You know what I mean? Like he definitely ain't worried about me. It's fucking creepy, dude. I got a policy if an animal weighs more than 4 pounds and it lives outside, I don't fuck with it. Because you got to be really tough to live outside and only weigh 4 pounds, dude.
Yeah.
I'm good. There was right there by my house, I went on a hike a couple months ago in Dixon Lake. It's like a world famous lake, like the largest bass ever or something was in Dixon Lake. And so I Google it and there's like this fucking hiking trail and wife and kids were out of town for a couple weeks. So I went up there. There's a sign at the beginning of the trail and it's like warning. And this is an active mountain lion habitat. Like don't wear headphones, don't be by yourself, all that shit. And I was just like, dude, I've never seen one. I spent 3 years of my life flying around Sequoia National Park. Yeah. Looking for a mountain lion. I never fucking saw one.
I don't really think you see them. Dude, did you see that Dallas, Texas TV thing recently where there was a mountain lion on top of someone's roof?
Yes.
And it was like a silhouette, like goddamn, like Batman and shit.
Fuck that.
We don't really have those here, but they're coming in like from somewhere.
I always thought they were like fucking extinct.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're like least concern. I've spent a lot of time on Google. They're like as far from extinct as it can be. They're fucking smart. They're intelligent. They know not to come around people. They know not to kill livestock. That kind of shit. But they are 150 pounds fucking cat.
You ever hear that story? Like this hiker was in, I think it was Colorado Springs or something like that. He was going on a hike and then he had a mountain lion jump on him, but it was small enough and it was just the luck of how they rolled.
Rogan talked about that, right?
Yeah.
He killed it.
Yeah, he choked the mountain lion out because he had his hind legs pinned down in a way where he, because like
they'll like cat, claw you.
Yeah, if like I have cats at home.
Fucking cat.
You
ever wrestle with a cat?
Yeah, back legs kind of push you off, right,
bro?
And he had him pinned down. And he was just able to like fucking die.
Like if I had to fight your cat at your house, I'd have a problem. That would hurt. Like
our oldest cat, every time there's a stray outside and he can smell it or whatever, like he fucking gets feral, dude.
Ready.
And he's like ready. And I'm like,
bro, you're
I get a broom.
I get a broom. That's so true. Dude, you've met my dogs, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I've got Zeus, is a big ass fucking mastiff, and he's the sweetest boy in the world. But like, if he sees a cat, dude, like, I'm like, bro, you're like 11. I thought we outgrew this. No, like, there is something in there, dude. And I have to live with the realization that like that dog could kill me if he wanted to. Like, he sees a cat, it's a problem. But
I always would ask people, I was like, if I think this was a bike night conversation a long time ago. Would you rather, it was like, would you rather fight a wolf or a mountain lion? Like cat versus, any kind of dog,
Wolf all day.
Yeah, 100%.
All day.
Yeah. I mean, a wolf's going to fuck you up.
Fight it'll be.
So who wins if a bear fights a grizzly bear and a gorilla?
Dude, I feel like there was a YouTube video about this.
This was like on deployment. These are like the questions that get asked. Yeah. Because you're just so fucking bored. It's like grizzly bear, gorilla. I think a grizzly bear fucks it up.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, because a bear is just as strong.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have, and and gorillas don't have claws or any other kind of way of.
They have big teeth, but
You know?
they don't have.
They don't really have
bear.
fangs the way that like bears have fucking like chompers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the fuck
This
you
is
up.
all scientific talk right here.
Yeah, this is all damn professional.
Dude, you know what's crazy? You know what's one of the fucking wildest animals and you would never think are just like mean as shit? Hippos.
100%.
Do
They're the
not
deadliest
fuck-
animal in Africa.
Do not fuck with a hippo.
Yep. They're super territorial. They're like
Yeah.
the size of this room. Like a school bus running at you, dude. They look fat. They ain't.
Yeah, they look like big
What about that baby
sloppy
hippo that went
Yep.
super viral recently?
Yep.
What's the
Oh, yeah.
Dang or
Oh,
something,
yeah,
something
yeah.
Dang or
Yep.
something.
That was
It's pretty cute.
dude, I had some fucking dolphins come up on me one time, and I thought I was fucking about to be on an episode of Shark Week. So, like,
Yeah, what's it like? I mean, you're out there diving in the ocean and shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to like. Is there like how? Are there a lot of sharks out there? Or is it kind of like
Yeah. So there's like, and we can get into this a little bit. Like I've been in the Navy for a while. I'm a rescue swimmer in the Navy. So I've been in since 11, but like my 3 years in Lemoore, I was like really doing what the fuck I thought I was going to do in the Navy. Or
Yeah.
like that was all we did was fucking SAR shit. And I've actually never even gotten a fucking water rescue. All my rescues have come over land, like rappelling into the mountains, that type of shit. But we provided a lot of coverage for the jets that would fly over the water. The only body of water in the world that like really fucking scares the shit out of me is Monterey. Monterey scares the fuck out of me, dude.
I bet all that cold water.
Dude, and there's fucking great whites and shit in San Diego, but they're like bitch ass, like 8-foot great whites. Bitch ass, right?
Yeah.
There are like monsters in Monterey, dude. Like 13-foot fucking monsters. Like I'll show you videos on my phone after this. Like there was a couple times, dude, we'd go out there, like we started assisting the Coast Guard towards the end of my time there.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest shit in the world. Like you'd be sitting there. One night, we had a guy that fought MMA in the shop because we had 6 rescue swimmers and 6 medics in the shop, right? One of our medics, this wild ass fucking kid, Joey Hanford, one of the toughest human beings I've ever met. And he fought amateur MMA while he was in the Navy, which is like super against the rules, but we didn't care. Like this kid just beat the fuck out of everybody. So we were in line to go to one of his fights in Visalia. It was like his pro MMA or his amateur MMA debut.
Yeah.
And we get a call from the Coast Guard sector out in San Francisco, and they're like, hey, we got a missing whatever swimmer off the coast of Monterey. Like, will you guys come and help us? And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like,
Off the coast of Monterey.
I'm like, motherfucker. And it's like me and a medic on. So I'm going to go get this dude out of the water, and then he's going to fix this dude up, right? Long story short, we never found this fucking guy. Like, he was gone. But I remember flying over that water and looking through it through like MVGs and all the kelp forest and shit, and just being like,
Can you see, like, do you have like some kind of like radar type shit?
no. No, dude, you're just like out there with MVDs. Everything's green, and it's just black fucking angry abyss, dude. There's
It's deep as fuck right there. Huh?
Yeah, there's an oceanic trench right off the coast of Monterey, which is why there's so much wildlife there. Like there's seals, there's orcas, there's great whites, there's big whales right there off the coast. And we would do like training flights out there all the time. This is kind of a funny story, but we ended up working with the Air Force guys out there quite a bit and the Coast Guard guys out there quite a bit. And then we were kind of like the new kids in town. And they were both stationed in San Francisco and San Jose. And then we were over in Lemoore, but we spent a lot of time out there covering the military assets, right? So we started doing work together. And we planned this big ass exercise that was gonna have like this whole fucking thing. We were gonna have a bunch of boats out there. We were gonna drop a bunch of people in the water. The Coast Guard was gonna go in and we were gonna watch how they did it. Then the Air Force was gonna go in, we were gonna watch how they did it. Then we were gonna go watch in and, everybody's gonna learn from each other.
Yeah.
So we come up with this whole thing and we've got this whole brief going and we're briefing the fucking Coast Guard guys on what we're gonna do. And they're like, you wanna do they've been doing this in this area for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you wanna do this where? And we're like, Monterey. And they're like, no. Like straight up, like we won't come. It's called coming off the cable. So you get lower down via the cable. They're like, we won't come off the cable in the Monterey Bay. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, it's a policy. Like the sharks out there. They were like, this dude who'd been in the Coast Guard for like 17 years was telling me, he's like, I've literally seen great whites like breach the water and come out and eat seals in the Monterey Bay. So we moved it up Santa Cruz. And that was like this entire military operation got moved like 6 miles north.
Yeah.
Like right up.
Experience, we're like,
Yeah, they were like, no, you're not doing this there.
Damn.
That was it. But yeah, I mean, every time we would fly over there, like if you wanted to, and I chose not to after like a period of time, but if you spent 5 minutes looking out the window, you would see a great white. And they move different, dude. Like I've seen a lot of sharks. A lot of sharks are like these little fast twitch kind of animals. Like when they're swimming, they're moving quick, you know? A fucking great white, dude.
He's like
that motherfucker just bad, dude. Just he knows. He fucking knows, dude. Like, no, I'm fucking with that dude. Yeah. I'm not fucking with him. I'm like,
so what about like the large whales? I mean, do they ever pose a threat with like human kind of shit or?
Not that I've ever experienced. Like we've all seen like the YouTube videos of like whales coming up and breaching next to boats and stuff like that.
That was like the killer whale thing though, right? They were kind of like fucking.
That's what I had seen, that they were fucking with like small fishing vessels. They're not going to mess with anything like big, but like me in the water, you know, like, I mean, honestly, like everything is more, I'm a pretty good swimmer. Yeah. Like I'll say that, like I have a fucking fin tattoo on my finger. Like I'm pretty competent in the water. Everything else in the water is better than me. Like, and I mean, fucking Nemo is swimming better than me. You know what I mean? Like there's no, anytime I've seen any kind of wild animal, I'm like, like, dude, I've seen big fish in lakes that I'm like not stoked about being around. You know what I mean? Like,
I would think. I think I saw a video with like a chick on a paddleboard with a bunch of orcas around her.
They're just checking her out. Yeah.
And I mean, fuck that.
Here's the thing though. Like, I've never had any issues with anything in the water. I've never known anybody that's had any issues with anything in the water. These animals are intelligent. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a fucking surfer, then you kind of look like a seal, you know what I mean? But like, they're going to come in and check you out. And a lot of these are, when people do get attacked by sharks, a lot of this is curiosity bites. The problem is when it's like fucking great white, that's 11 feet long, that curiosity bite kills you. You know what I mean? But they're not like eating people on a regular, you know, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than attacked by a shark. I tell myself that.
I'm still scared though.
All the time.
Like, the most famous barbecue dude I know from Bakersfield died by a fucking whale coming out of the ocean and fucking.
No shit.
Yeah, I'll show you the story.
No shit.
Crazy shit. Ironically, black dude. I don't know what he was doing on a boat, anyways. But
it's nothing to do with anything. But no, I've never.
Statistically. Yeah, that's insane, man. Like, I would always think like, to me, military is like, all right, I'm in Afghanistan and I have to walk down that alley, and I know that alley there's a fucking bomb down there. I fucking know it. I'm gonna trip over something. Yep. Someone's gonna ambush me. Whatever. I ain't doing it.
Yep.
Fuck you. Can we just watch it for a while?
Just see what happens for a little bit.
We throw a couple rocks down this motherfucker real quick.
See if I get a reaction.
It's the same thing. Like I would feel like if I was in a fucking helicopter and I had to jump in some water, you know, I guess the rappel down thing makes more sense. That way you're connected and not putting yourself in the same.
And that would only be something you would do like over land.
Okay.
So like, do we want to get all?
Yeah.
Okay. So
we want to talk about fucking bikes anymore?
No. We can get into it. So like, God, I can't wait for Papa Juan to hear this, so I can remind him that his entire existence is to bring people like me to work. Just kidding. No, but like I was up in Naval Air Station Lemoore for a while. I get excited talking about this. I might stop for a minute. But we were up there, and the whole purpose of us existing there was Lemoore is the master jet base for the West Coast for all the jets, for the Navy at least. So the whole purpose for us being there was to provide a search and rescue asset to them. They have different MOAs or military operating areas. Some of them are over the water, some of them are over the land, right? Mm-hmm. So we have a vast array of things that we have to be capable to go into. Any kid that graduates rescue swimmer school, and I hate to put it like that, it's not fucking easy by any means. You can pretty much do a water rescue. Like you're best at water rescue like the day you get out of fucking school, because that's all you did for fucking months and months and months. You know what I mean? Now, when you add the land environment into it, there's obviously different concerns. Now, when you add the Sequoia National Forest into that, 200-foot tall fucking trees, and like, there's actually a whole thing about going into the forest, but like, those trees don't stop at the national park. You know what I mean? So they didn't really want us in there, fed to fed. They didn't want assistance in that park for whatever reason. Still got some rescues there, but it was just a whole different dynamic that we had to learn how to do that you weren't going to be prepared to do in Virginia Beach or in San Diego or anywhere else. So that was where the rappel aspect came in. Because if these guys our hoist is 200 feet long, let's say there's 170 foot of tree and you got guys down there, you're going to put them on a hoist, and then you got a hoist operator up top running the hoist down, right? That's great. but the guy that's on the hoist has no fucking control.
Yeah.
He's just along for the ride.
And those trees, I mean, like a small sway up there is a big swing at the bottom,
exactly.
right?
And if you hit one of those branches or something, you bounce off it. Okay, well, let's say you hit it and you don't bounce off it, but you get hung up for a second. He's still paying out, doesn't see that. You fall 6 feet. You got 70 pounds of gear on you. It fucking hurts, you know?
Yeah.
So the rappel comes in from there where you can control your own descent. That was a whole different aspect from anything else I'd ever learned in the Navy. And you started off like baby steps, you know, like your first flight ever. And this isn't something you've been trained to do, right? So your first flight ever, we would take guys out to Marina, California. Familiar with that? Up there by Salinas and all that. We take them out to Marina. We get in a 200-foot hover. And I'm not afraid of heights. I've got 2,000 flight hours at this time. You know, I'm good. You get in a 200-foot hover, and they put you in the door. And you're just sitting there looking at your fucking rope. And I don't care who you are. Like, you're shitting your fucking pants right now. Because, like, the dudes on the ground are the size of this Zyn can. You know what I mean? And you're like... So what you do is you drop the rope all the way down and you get ready to rappel. So it goes through a device, a little friction device. Now, because that weight is all pulling down, the weight of that rope is 200 feet to go down.
Yeah.
That friction device, that rope doesn't just roll through there smooth. It's pulling it tight, acting like a belay line. So those first couple goes, you have to force it through. And that's your first flight ever. That's the first one you ever do. And then you build on that. You know what I mean? So you get better at rappelling. Then you start having to put gear on. Then you have to start rappelling with a 6-foot backboard. Then you have to start rappelling with your medical kit. And then you get good at that. For like a couple months, you just get good at doing that.
Yeah.
And then you get into that, and then they create like triage scenarios, right? So you'll go out, there's like BLM land that you can work out there, right? And guys will go out in the work truck. We have an F-250 up there. And it'd be like, say, you're the guy getting evaluated. Me and Gabe already been qualified. We've been here for a while. We got rescues. We're doing our thing. We go out there with a couple guys that work the base, like gate guard type dudes or whatever, right? We dress them up. We triage them. We put fake injuries on them. Now you got to go do that rappel. And when you get on the ground, you got patients waiting for you. And then you go through that and you get that going for a couple months. Then the injuries start intensifying. Now you're not only doing the rappel and getting through this incredible adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But now you have to get down and be a fucking person that can treat this bleed or treat this sucking chest wound or, you know, broken pelvis. All these things mean different things and dictate different reactions.
Yeah.
So that was like 3 years of when I was starting shifter crew, that was my day job. But it was the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. And like every day, I mean, you're not getting fucking calls every day or every week even. Like and 99% of the calls were like civilians out there that they went rock climbing. Like I literally had some dudes went rock climbing and ran out of rope. Shit like that. Like people that just have no business being in these situations that they're in. So I forget where I was going with that.
But it happens and that's what you're there for.
And that was every day that possibility existed that you were going to go like right now, somebody in the world, right? Somewhere in the world right now, somebody's dying.
Yeah.
And somebody else is on their way to make sure that doesn't happen. That is the best adrenaline rush I've ever had. Like to be that guy is, dude, like I'll be chasing that for the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah, it's got to be intense, man.
It is.
Some real life fucking like Rambo, G.I. Joe.
Nah, like, it was, I mean.
Paint your face at all?
Because you should, yeah.
Just 2 stripes?
Nah.
Let them know. You mean
and I mean, I got into it like, because I want to help people. You know what I mean? Like, I got one of my best friends is a SEAL.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fucking sick. I don't want to hurt anybody. Like, I don't want to shoot people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it was just a unique opportunity that I got to do for a while.
That's cool.
You know?
And when you were considering going in, you kind of knew that's the path you wanted to go, sort of, or what?
Yeah. So I was so yes and no. I was like a shithead growing up, right? Like, and when I say shithead, like I mean like I was fucking retarded. Mm-hmm. Like I graduated like a 1.7 GPA. Like I knew like real early on, like I'm joining the military. Like we got to go, you know? And so the whole time I'm in high school, I'm like, first I'm going to be a Marine. Then I'm going to join the Army. Then the Air Force never contacted me because I was too fucking stupid. But 100%. Like, so it was just like whoever talked to me that week, that's what branch I was going to join, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And it ended up where I graduated high school and I was like, I'm not going to join yet. I think I might as well take a year off or so. You know what I mean? I graduated like 17. And I was like, I might as well hang out for a little while. And so I started working all these odd jobs. Like I worked at Core Furniture. I was like delivering furniture. And then I worked at like a greenhouse. And they built like this color-coded system for me because I didn't speak Spanish. So like there was blue, yellow, red, green stickers. And my job was like take these carts full of plants and put them with the color-coded stickers, right? That was it. That fucking sucked. And then I worked at Steak and Shake. That fucking sucked.
Dude,
and
I love their chili.
Bro, Steak and Shake I can't eat it though. Like I worked there for like 6 months. I was the grill boy. Like I can't do it. But I was just like fucking off. And then I started having friends like get in trouble, right? Like guys were going to jail, guys were getting shot. It was just like kind of I don't want to say a normal occurrence, but it became like a timed regular thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I should probably look into like getting the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And so I went back to the Navy recruiter and I was like, hey man, so like, what do you got? And he's like, you got to do all these physical things. I was like, I literally just want to do something cool. That was like what I told him. So he handed me a pamphlet and had like 5 cool jobs in it. And it was fucking like SEAL, SWIG.
Cool jobs.
That was literally like, dude, you flip through and it was like a pamphlet. And it was like SEAL, SWIG, diver, EOD, rescue swimmer. And I was like, all right, well, this SWIG thing looks fucking cool. Like I'm watching the commercials. Like I've seen the movies. That looks fucking rad. Which is funny because my father-in-law is a retired SWIG guy now, which is kind of hilarious. Mm-hmm. So I did all the tests. You have to like compete to get a contract to be able to go to this school, right? And then it's got like an 80% attrition rate. So compete for the contract, get picked up on a SWIG contract. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. So I'm thinking I'm going to be fucking Rambo. Like I'm going to be driving fast boats and shooting people in the face. It's going to be great. Like, so I'm supposed to leave. This happened in like April of 2011. I was supposed to leave in November to go to boot camp on this SWIG contract. And shortly after that, my best friend at the time went to jail for knocking over a Speedway gas station. Like ran in with a gun. Fucking, I'd gone to his house that night because I was working at Steak and Shake. And on my way home, I stopped at his house and it was fucking cold in Michigan. I had a ski mask that I would walk to and from work in this fucking thing, right? And he's like, hey, let me borrow your ski mask. I got to go to Veronica's house tomorrow. And that was his girlfriend at the time. And I was like, you can't have my ski mask. Like I need to walk home. He's like, bro, like you got a half mile left. Like, let me get it. I'm like, all right, give him the ski mask. He goes over and knocks over this fucking Speedway. And now I'm like, man, I should probably get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like I should probably really join the Navy. So then some short period of time goes over. It's like March through April timeframe. I might be fucking this up a little bit. But I come home from work one day and I was living with this chick. I don't know where she's at now. I don't even really remember her name. Come home one day and she fucking robbed me. And everything's gone, dude. And this is the honest to God truth. The fucking couches, the TV, my fucking stereo. Like this is when it was cool to have like a stereo. That shit was gone. My bed. Everything's fucking gone. The dishes, the food in the fridge, everything's gone.
Moved out. Well, like,
she fucking bounced on me, dude. And I like was just sitting there stuck. And I went out, like walked out the front steps and I just fucking sat there like, hey dog, you're homeless.
Yeah.
Like as fuck. You have nothing. What are you gonna do? I called the recruiter and I was like, hey, November's not gonna work, dude. Like, we gotta go. This is like March, April-ish time frame.
Damn, you have to wait that long to go to that school?
To even just join the military.
Okay.
Like, so I'm like, November's not gonna work. He's like, all right. And I kind of tell him the whole thing. He's like, where you at? So he picks me up, go back to his house or whatever. And I end up finding like a homie's mom and I crash on the couch for a couple of months. They take me back up to MEPS and they're like, I understand you need to leave sooner. I'm like, yeah. They're like, we got this air rescue program you can join. And I'm like, I'm literally just like, when can I leave?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is. And they're like, June. And I'm like, that's before November. So I sleep on my homie's mom's couch for like a couple months. Mm-hmm. And then I get to boot camp and I'm like this fucking shithead, white trash ghetto kid in boot camp. And I have no idea what I'm getting into. Yeah. And all these dudes are like, we're going to rescue swimmer school. And I'm like, cool. Right. Like, I have no idea what the fuck that even means, you know? And that was how I joined the Navy. Ended up doing cool shit, but yeah.
That's rad. I mean, fuck, dude. Like,
that's not a story I've told very many people.
You told everybody. So.
Yeah, I know people know.
Well, I wish more people, like, I hope my kids feel like that. Like they see a progression. They see this as an opportunity to go make something of themselves, but also like there's a lot of benefits that come from being a part of that world. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes culturally, I think it's probably, just the outside looking in, being a little ignorant to the situation, but the chance to see a different part of the world than you currently live in.
Yep.
Because if if you're a well-traveled young, kid that got to go on lots of vacations across the country, your parents probably paid for your college, right? So you're going to get the opportunity to go travel to another state or school in a different part of where you live. But if not, like, you only know your circle, that's the only thing you know.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying?
I'll never forget. I'll make sure Matt listens to this. One of my really good friends this day. When we made it through fucking boot camp together. And then we made it through rescue swimmer school together, which, like, we started with 24 guys. Like, 6 of us graduated. Made it through all these schools together, and we finally make it up to Norfolk, Virginia, right? And we're sitting at the fucking light on base. And there's an airfield, like, right here, right? Like, there's not a fence. There's just an airfield right here. And this, like, C-130 or whatever fucking comes flying right above us at the light and lands. Like, if anybody is out there, you know which airfield I'm talking about. This fucking thing comes, like, right over us and lands. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I've never seen anything like this in my fucking life. I am freaking out. And he's like, well, you never seen anything like that? I'm like, no, I fucking haven't, dude. I'm like 19, But that was kind of just piggyback off of what you were saying. Like,
yeah,
I never seen any of that, Like, got to go to fucking Spain and fucking Greece and all these wild ass places when I was super young. Dubai when I was like fucking 21.
Yeah, dude.
I thought this is more just like funny shit, but I think this is 2013 when like sequestration happened. Obama was in office and they were trying to save money, all this shit. We were getting ready to go out. I was at my first command, and it fucking sucks being a new guy at like a command like that where like everybody in there, like, you think I've gone through this fucking wild ass school and I've done all this shit and I'm going to be this motherfucker, right? Nobody cares. Like, they've all been doing it for 12 years. Like, you are just the new bitch, right?
Welcome to the motorcycle industry.
100%. So like, I didn't know this,
parallel there.
Like, I check in, and the first day that I checked in, there's a room full of like 25 dudes. I'm fucking scared of all of them because I'm 20 at the time. I'm a kid. These are all grown ass men, and you don't know anybody. And they're like, all right, bro, fuck, marry, kill, go. I'm like, with who? And they're like, us. And I'm like, what? Like, you don't even want to, but you got to commit to it, right? So I do the fuck, marry, kill game, and then they like send me out of the room, and they were like, all right, man, nobody talk to him. Like 2 weeks. Nobody fucking would like talk to me. They would like go to lunch or like leave for the day and shit like that. And I'd just be like, where's everybody at? Like, nobody was telling me. But so the sequestration thing starts happening around that time frame. And they're trying to save money on deployment. So our deployment, we're scheduled to leave on like a Monday. And I'm at Target, and like the dudes had written me a list like, hey, this is what you need to bring with you on deployment, because you don't fucking know, So I'm picking up like, hey, make sure you have an extra couple rolls of toilet paper. You're gonna need a couple things, this many toothpaste. I'm at Target doing that. And my sponsor texts me, and he's like, hey man, deployment is CNX, be at work on Monday. And I'm like, I'm so new, I don't know that CNX means canceled, right? I'm like, what the fuck? So they canceled, like, dudes had fucking got out of their leases, sold their car. We're supposed to leave for 9 months, right? 72 hours prior, they canceled this shit. So they had to figure out something to do with us. Like, all right, well, we got this high op tempo. We're getting ready to deploy. We need to maintain this. We're going to send 2 aircraft down to the Bahamas, and we're going to train up the new guy in the Bahamas. Dude, I was like, I've made the right decision. Like, I joined the Navy, and this was the fucking thing to do, because I fucking drank pina coladas at like 20 years old or however fucking old I was. I don't think I was 21 yet. On the beach in the Bahamas, flew like twice a week, hung out, chilled. I was like, I made the right decision. I haven't been back to the Bahamas since. Like, they fucking swindled the shit out of me, dude. Like, that was just, I got catfish something serious, dude. But it was fucking sick for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's always funny too when you like talking to people like, yeah, I got to go on deployment. I was in Japan for 2 years. It's like all these places in the world that like you could just find yourself. It's kind of like just the luck of the, dice roll, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's place and time, man. Like, anything cool that I've ever done, I was just in the right spot. Just happen to be there, but I don't know, that also goes both ways, because you can be at places at the right time and you can be at places at the wrong time, and then it's not like nothing catastrophic has ever happened, but just been like around shitty dudes. You know? That's like 99% of having a good time in the military is like who you're around. And you can go out. When I got to expeditionary commands, we were going out 12 men at a time, and I had deployments that were great because I had great dudes, and I had deployments that fucking sucked because leadership on those roles fucking sucked, Yeah. But it's like anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very great parallel to just a lot of, I mean, where you work outside the motorcycle world, just like where you could work or the friends you keep, and motorcycle world's no different, you know?
Yep.
If your bike scene in the small town or the town you live in is full of fucking dickheads, you know what I'm saying?
It's not going to be fun.
Yeah, you're not gonna like the bike. What people would that person might hear being spewed across a podcast about how great this is, and they're like, that is literally not what I get to go and be a part of.
Yeah, that ain't my bike night here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So, but I think with the more people that get the information, like you start to seek out types of people that you know what I'm saying. Maybe military is a good way of you kind of being around so many different people that you get exposed to all these different types of personalities and demeanors, you know what I'm saying? And you could kind of like identify, I fuck with that dude. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how you met Dan.
100%.
I fuck with this dude.
Yep.
Something
right
about
off
him.
the rip.
Yeah.
Like everybody in here is being quiet. He's got something to say. Like,
yeah.
I can identify with that. You know what I mean?
Break
like,
the ice. Yeah.
Break the ice. But it's definitely made it like some of the shit that maybe would be stressful. I'm like, fucking end of the day, what? I don't put on a fucking bike show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, sorry guys.
Perspective. Huh?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put a different perspective on it.
Yeah, definitely. That helps, man. You know, but I think it all goes hand in hand. Like I said, I feel like what you guys have been building out there and bringing people together. It's like I was thinking, I was telling Britt about it. It's like he's literally like maybe Dustin is kind of the newest person. The LFG guys are the newest people I know in like y'all's circle. But it's like I've known Jay for fucking almost 8 years now. Known Finish Up X Steven for a long time as well. Yep. And it's like it's great seeing these guys find
it's cool, man.
Someone to connect with because they've always been great dudes. They just didn't have that kind of draw to the right scene.
It's been like a wildly powerful thing on just how we've all like kind of come together too. Like, and I didn't know, I've told Dustin this, so I don't feel bad saying it, but like the way that I got in with Steven, and I met him through Paul, who's a buddy that lived in Tehachapi. Like I lived up in the Central Valley for a while, right? And that's where Shifter started, and I had Dan, and you know, everything was going up there. When I moved to San Diego, I wasn't sure, like, I don't know if Dustin and I are gonna get along. You know what I mean? Like he might not be fucking with me. Like I'm fucking new. Yeah. You know, and he's a little more gangster. Like if you like, he's the mascot for like East County fucking white boy. All right. Like that dude comes outside in Crocs and no t-shirt. Like he's just a little bit different. But like Ramona, obviously we fucking hit it off. Yeah, don't talk about his town now. Maybe I can say it a couple times. But obviously like we hit it off big, right? And then he's sober now. Him and Steven have something in common, and Bulletproof Welder and all these people. And it just kind of has like, Dustin has done a tremendous amount for me in like getting known in San Diego. Yeah. Because I'm fucking new there. So then I try to return that favor of like, well, I got something going in Arizona. You know what I mean? Like Barrett, like if I'm telling you right now, if I'm doing a bike show, that dude's got an open invite to do his slow races and set up a booth. Like it's a package deal at this point. You know what I mean? So it's cool to see how that's transferred to like this wide group of people. And it's funny that you've known a bunch, like Jay, even Whiskey Dicks. Like you've known that dude for 8 years. You painted his dyno
when he was in Seattle, I think.
Years and years and years ago, you know? And
I remember he would always go to Born Free, and we'd always like miss each other. So he would make a video. Jay, where's Jay?
I can totally see him doing that. Dude, that's
that
awesome.
dude doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like,
he's awesome.
So
he won't make whatever.
But the first time I met, Dustin and Rafa and Graf, it's been me and my buddy Jaden. We were on a month-long trip, and we ended up going down to San Diego to do their podcast, and we all just hit it off. They were all like cool dudes, you know what I'm saying? Yep. To see, I mean, obviously the brand's kind of like gone through its, changes and like, evolution, you know? But seeing Dustin carry on with it and what they all kind of build together and keep that thing alive, that's what I'm stoked about. Yep. It's like I said, another brand, another t-shirt brand, right?
See what happens here.
But now we're looking at 3 years later, and here they are doing more shit than they did when they first started.
And I remember like their first shirts. Yeah. Like I remember the first LFG shirt I saw was like this white shirt with red writing on it. It just said LFG 1904. This big. Like that was, and now, I mean, he quit his job. Yeah. He's running a screen printing business out of his garage. Like that's the evolution. Yeah. It's cool to see, you know.
Seeing him in Sturgis was awesome this year. And, seeing him keep the podcast going was also good. And it's just, when you see that effort put in to be something for 3 years in this industry is hard, dude. Straight up. Yeah. It is a threshold. But you got to figure out how to get through that. And you got to get through that by making great connections, being a good, honest person, having integrity, and busting your fucking ass. And if you do, man, opportunities come.
Yep.
Opportunities come to the person that has been consistently showing up to things, putting positive and good vibes out there. It'll come back, you know, maybe not when you're in that shitty circle with those shitty dudes, but that's when you got to fucking pivot and figure out where you need to be and shit, you know? Yeah. If you love motorcycles, there's so many different types of groups out there that exist that you really got to just find your tribe a little bit. Yeah. And they might not be in your state. Good thing about being an adult.
And it's still that it's almost like a path of least resistance. You know, it's like you build it and they will come. You kind of find each other. Yeah. And like to like boil it down to super simple terms, it's like the universe gives, dude. You just gotta put what you really want, your real intentions out there, and it just like it just works out, dude. It writes itself.
Look at how you and I have hit it off in a short period of time. Yeah. Like we really hung out for the first time in August. Yeah. We've been to Utah together, now Texas together, all kinds of shows. Like
I will say it's kind of interesting because it does go full circle. Like, you know, I moved out here, I met him. He knows you. You're friends with Porky. I've known Porky since we were 16. We lived together.
That's what you were telling me.
Like,
yeah.
I've known that dude. Shit.
That's
so
wild.
It's just it's so funny to see like like-minded people that like
you find each other.
All kind of just gravitate to each other.
Yep.
You know, you don't have to know everyone. Like, I'd fuck with you. I remember when one of your first shirts was Porky's shirt. And I remember saying that, like, what the fuck? You know, I was like, sure, like, you're t-shirts now? I said,
supporting full-figured women since 1982. Pork Dizzle design right there, dude. That is a Pork Dizzle right there.
Yeah.
Ask him what the password is. He'll know. Say, hey, your buddy that you used to live with that lives in Texas, he asked me to ask you what the password is.
I'll text him right now. Phone's over there.
But so no, you start that's how like the original Performance Bagger guys got so close because it was the same thing. Yeah. And I think that, you know, not to bring up old shit, but like some of the beef that some of the California guys had with like the way we were carrying ourselves is because we found what you guys have now. We had found that in 2019 and 2020. Right. And we were just fucking living the dream, right? So in our world, we're just like, we just figured out how to make the sauce and now we're going to enjoy it all.
We got this thing going on over here. We don't care what anybody's doing.
Yeah. And, you know, and then one of your homies is running a page called Proper Baggers. And then another homie's putting on a camp out. And then this guy's building some fucking fly ass bikes. And then this guy's a machinist. And this dude's fucking fast as fuck.
Yep.
He's racing. Yep. Like, everybody's bringing something to the table and we're just all fucking, you know,
having a big ass time.
But then again, you know, one's in Canada, one's in Michigan, one's in Arkansas, one's in Texas, one's in Missouri, some homies in Florida, some people up in the Northeast. Like, it ain't like we're close. We're all busting our ass to go be a part of everything. Right. So it was different. And like I said, now, you know, things are different now. We're all growing involved and we're still finding new people because we're all coming together on like-minded shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that like a lot of the misunderstanding between like, you know, maybe Ray and I or Ray and everyone else. Not trying to dig at you, Ray, but you
shout out to Ray.
I think Ray was a guy that listened to a lot of the homies out there, his friends, and he listened to their you know, arguments and he vocalized them heavy and he became the front man and all that drama, if you will. But it's not that I just feel like it's good that all that's just kind of passed because now hearing about all these people and all the shit they're doing, like I was telling you, we went to that that Orange County show after I stayed at your house and I was like, I'll be honest with you, man, I didn't know you guys were on this level of building baggers. Like there's some nice baggers out here.
Yeah.
Because for years there would be like a nice bike here and there, but not a fucking parking lot of them. You know what I mean?
A lot of that has been so. And I'll say this: you can be in California and be sitting in traffic, and a $70,000 Road Glide goes by you. And it's not a thought process. Yeah. But those people had to come together. You know what I mean? Like you look at the group of guys like with Big Will and them that roll out together to Arizona.
Yeah.
And there's 20 bikes, and if my bike's in there, it's the 7th nicest one. You know what I mean? Like there's fucking hitters across the board.
Yeah.
But it takes time to build those relationships and get everybody together. You know what I mean? And there's so many more people out there than really anywhere else in the United States, that the likelihood of seeing something like that is just going to be higher population wise. And then the ability to ride year round in like the area that I live in is going to magnify that as well. Yeah. But those people had to come together so that you could see it. When you come out and there's fucking 15 of them or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, whereas out here, there's less people. I'm sure there's less people on bikes, just population wise. You know what I mean? But all of you guys had the same ideas, and you all immediately gravitated towards each other. You know what I mean?
It goes back to what I was saying. It wasn't even so much that Dallas had it. It was that Arkansas, Oklahoma. We would just all go party together.
To come together. Yeah.
And we'd be in the Smoky Mountains with all these nice bikes, or Daytona, or...
I think that's also just because geographically, you're used to traveling for everything else. It's the same thing in the automotive industry. You go through the same thing. California is just so dense, and people there don't feel like they ever have to leave to go to anything because there's so many different pockets of things they can do because of how many people.
But
you guys are used to having to travel for anything anyways. So then when you have like-minded people, it's easier to come together.
I'm not trying to say that our bikes were better. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm saying that we had the group.
No, because they aren't. No, I'm just kidding.
We had the scene. We had the group of guys together that were coming together in Sturgis, and all of a sudden, I mean, dude, in 2019, you could count. It was either outside of like the core group of us that were all together. You can count on like maybe one hand every other set of T-bars on a road glide in 2019. No, in Sturgis.
Oh no shit.
Yes. Like you did not see T-bars on baggers in 2019, right? And then all of a sudden that was the first year like Kyle, Forever Rad came out. Proper baggers, fucking Spatafort choppers, like Race Glide, all these dudes, all these hitters that have been part of that world were out there riding together. There's a photo of all of us at a Starbucks at goddamn in Deadwood. And there's some shots because I took a photo of this row of Olin's on the back of the bikes, and it ended up being an Olin's ad for a couple of years. But it was just different. Like we were all in love with the same type of bike, and we all came together. And then that was exacerbated, I guess, through like social media and other events. My man, and other events, and so optically, it looked like. Whatever was really going on in California, it just looked like all the attention on performance baggers was leaning to these other areas. Yeah.
Because you guys were traveling.
Yes.
That is it. And I mean, I'll say it. I'm not like embarrassed about it, but like I've been watching your show for years. You know what I mean? Like I knew what you were doing in 2021.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we were paying attention because shit like that was happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? You guys were doing something that nobody else was doing yet, to be honest. And I'm sure
people were doing it, but we use social media, I guess, to connect. And we created events, and we weren't standoffish. We were like, yo, come to this event, come be a part of it. As soon as you show up, it's all good. And then we would go to California. I remember like a lot of us, the first couple of times we went to Born Free, we'd be on our performance baggers, and like, there wasn't a bagger show. It was Dyna's and FXR, right? And then you just assume like all the this is where these baggers came from. The flavor came from California, right? But we're riding around, we ain't seeing no performance baggers anywhere. All the baggers look like fucking, Sons of Anarchy, not Sons of Anarchy, the new one, the fucking the vehicle Mayans. The Mayans. And I'm like,
where's it at?
Where are you at? This is the spot to be. Like I was saying, I think on your podcast, when there's no performance motorcycle show on this scale of what Born Free is or any of these events yet, maybe things like the V-Twin Pac West situation or Live Fast. I don't know what Live Fast is about, but I'm sure that there's other events that are coming that are going to become that.
Yeah.
But for the longest, there hasn't been that. So, like, what is it?
And that's something that you and I talked about. I think we talked about it on my podcast a little bit, but like the performance community hasn't really come together. There's always been this level of competition between everybody.
Yeah.
And I haven't really spoken to it outwardly, but I'd like to try to change that.
Well, I think that's what's happening. It goes to like what I think Shifter Crew and LFG and all you guys have started to do in California by kind of just bridging some gaps. But once like there is no opposition, when dudes from this side of the Rockies are riding to California to not go to Born Free, but to hang out with Shifter Crew or Throttle Roots or whoever the fuck it is, that's when it changes.
It really changes.
Because
that's when it becomes a national thing.
Yes.
That changes everything.
And does it need to happen around those big groups? How you were talking about like the event that all your homies are there, not worrying about the next day. Is that when that happens moving forward?
I mean, it kind of could, but I mean, simplistically like this, like you don't need a show, you don't need an event, you just need people to take off work.
Does it make it easier though? You know, like at least it's a date on a calendar that everyone can agree that we're going somewhere.
Well, if you've been doing this for a long time, then you if you've been doing this as far as like going out and being a part of other scenes, then the show is kind of like, it helps me convince my wife.
It's like the catalyst. Yeah.
You know, hey babe, there's a show.
There's
there.
a thing going on.
But realistically, like if it was like, hey, you know, there was enough time and it was all working out and it was like a part of the year where, you know, the rest of the country could also ride to California. And there was a thing like, hey, Shifter Crew's throwing this deal, kind of like the little camp out you talked about you had done with your boys. You kind of have to do a little bit more reconnaissance to figure out if we can all fit at the campground. But I would ride to California to go be a part of a camp out
and
thing.
then you get to go to Born Free.
I mean, if it lines up good, I mean, I usually ride to California at least twice a year. I'm usually driving, like I've been into California 4 times this year, once in a car, once in an airplane, and twice on a bike. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not a boat. But, and then maybe the first year it's not that big. You know, there's only like a couple people came, but it's off of that everybody's like, dude, that was fucking badass. And then the next year everybody wants to come to it.
Yep.
But I mean, it's I don't know. Utah has a scene. Getting Utah connected to shit too is like, it's all these different things. You know what I mean?
I immediately think of because you can build it, and does it just keep going and then loses its charm? Maybe,
100%.
You know,
it doesn't need to last forever. It just needs to last long enough to get people together to have a like.
It just has to be there long enough to plant the seed, so that now you have the connections that will last longer than any event.
Because it could be like, hey, this year all the homies are coming together to go to Pismo Beach for a little ride, hang out, chill party, and the next year we're like, yo, we're doing fucking Rock Springs, Wyoming. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well now everybody's still going, but to me, those kind of it's a run is what it is. It's a fucking run. That way it's like, there's minimal planning, and then it's fun because you're not getting enough time to sit there and try to boast and brag and wash your wheels. It's like we're all in it, man. Every night's the night before the party. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And I mean, that sounds doable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have to get another bagger because I ain't gonna be able to keep up with you guys on my bikes. You know what I mean? My old clappers and shit. So, but no, that's kind of the thing. That's what we had. That's why we got so close on this side of the country. And I think that's what people, if I would say this, even though I don't think they would agree to it, I think that's what they were jealous of. You know what I mean? Jealous of that, and jealous of the fact that we called ourselves OGs in performance baggers. Because in our world, we were the only ones doing it.
Yeah.
You know what
Dude,
I mean?
and as you're telling this story, like I'm very new to motorcycles, and this all kind of happened before I kind of jumped in the scene. But I've noticed this weird thing, like the tendency to just like operate in cliques and be like dismissive and like just off, not what you had out here, and like the fact that the scene kind of evolved with like it's not all coming out of the city. It's like we were just all into this.
Yeah.
So I'm just like thinking about this, and it's like, yeah, no shit, California can be like that.
Yeah.
Especially on the internet,
Oh, I do. I mean, the internet was the blessing and the curse, right? It was the way we all found each other, but it was also the way that we all got to hate on each other.
Right. It's like it's there to connect, yet it like perpetuates this like. Over here.
I would say that I think I was a little on the back end of the real Dyna craze. I think it had already. I mean, Dynaholics and Dyna Trash and all these Dyna pages and different cliques were already in that shit so heavy, and there was already California owned the Dyna market, dude, hands down. The sickest bikes were coming out of there, and by the time it swept the nation, and we found it, it was kind of like a lot of us were coming from baggers to Dynas, and then realizing, oh shit,
back.
like what the first time we saw a set of T-bars on a bag, we're like, oh shit, I'm already used to that world. Let's just go back to that with this dying of fucking mentality on this. This will be the shit, and that's kind of what happened in a fucking nutshell, 100%. But it's like anything, man. I had so much fun, riding these bikes across country, all the people I met, the stories that I'm sure will, evolve in their legitimacy or truth over time. But, it's like I said, 2019 Sturgis with that core group of dudes, and then 2020 and 2021 too, it just became where all of a sudden there was no more big wheel bagger shows. Now everything was performance shows. All the shit started changing. You saw like the old, like the performance, the big wheel bagger was like a heavily modified bike that was, if you're gonna have a bike show, that's the bike to have at a show, because there's nothing like, we're gonna see a bunch of fucking black road glides,
right?
Performance motorcycles,
yeah.
And so
we can talk about that too. I got an opinion on that.
Let's go.
So it's one thing that I've kind of started to notice. It's gone super far with the performance bikes, and it's starting to concern me a little bit, because like if you go to some of these shows, every one of these bikes is starting to look the same. Like Dwayne was the first guy I ever met with a turbo on his bike. Yeah. Dwayne on that fucking red and white Street Glide. I was like, holy shit. I went to some shows this year. Every single one of them looks the same.
Yeah.
Pause. I had to apologize to Dwayne, because when we did the Whiskey Boys, I don't remember if it was you or Jake said, I'd like to see Dwayne build a bike instead of buying a bike. He built a Street Glide much before he ever bought a bike. Okay. And I did forget to say that. That bike used to be flat black, and then he had it painted.
The story on that bike is he went up to, I don't remember what rally it was. It might have been Laconia or Sturgis, but he went somewhere because D&D was doing that deal where if you got a D&D pipe, you got a Thundermax tuner, or vice versa, whatever it was. He went there for that. Ended up leaving with a trash turbo kit on it. So, like I've heard you say, Dwayne's starting to show his money a little bit. We're all starting to catch on, all right? Like our rich Dwayne friend. But I remember when that bike was like, holy fuck. Like Porky introduced me to him after fucking Arizona Bike Week. We all went to dinner and he was just there. I was like, holy shit, that thing is fucking wild.
You know, El Paso's halfway between here and LA.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I stopped there on the way. But a lot of these bikes are starting to look the same, man. Like they all look like the paint jobs all look like they went through a fucking wall, and they've got a turbo on it, and it's starting to lose some of that allure to me.
Well, that's where I'm at. That's what's hard.
You got a shovel head down there. Is that
Well, you know what? I was saying this in a podcast over this weekend when I was on my gold FXR chopper in Sturgis. There was no other bike like it. I'm not saying it was the only one there. There was a FXR.
Was the only bike like it.
But every fucking gas station I went to, there was no other bike like it.
Yeah.
And then, but that bike would cost someone $40,000 to have made. And most people are thinking about wanting to have a bike like that done. They're thinking, oh, that's a nice little $8,000 ripper.
No.
I'm like, no, dude. Like, and I've had this conversation. Dude's like, hey, how much will you sell the bike? It's not for sale. I can build you one. How much? Depending on what you want to do, anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000, depending on what kind of products we put on it. But the work is the work. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what it goes on.
Yeah.
Like I used to have people on like metric cruisers would hit me up like Valkyries and shit and want to do paint jobs on it. And I'm like, well, you do know like it's going to cost you 3 times what the amount this bike is worth to paint it. Oh, well, I don't want to spend that much. I'm like, well, the surface, the value of this surface does not dictate the value of the work I'm putting on it, right? So if I'm custom painting a big sheet of metal that's this size of this table right here, it doesn't mean it's going to be less because it's a sheet of metal versus a whole fucking road glide. Right? Like your value of what I'm painting does not dictate the value of what I'm doing to it. So you would just get these kind of situations. I don't even know how the fuck I got on that while I'm talking about it. But as far as like everything starting to look the same, I think it's a safety thing for people. Like they want to make their bikes look like that because it's a safety. I know it's going to look good. That's the reason why most people would pick a candy red or an orange or a certain color to paint it because they know that that's going to be what they want. It takes someone that's done a bunch of them and they've had 5 candy red bikes and 4 blue ones go, you know what? I want a green bike or I want a fucking brown bike or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think all trends do that. Look at Viklas start to all look the same. Big wheel baggers start to all look the same. It's because they find, oh, that's the cool wheel, that's the size, this is what you run to get validation, right?
Yeah.
And that's essentially where you're at now is because they're the cool bike to have right now. It's like, oh, this is the recipe. They know the sauce. What goes in the sauce, so we'll just make it ourselves.
Yeah.
And because we know that that's what people like.
Yeah.
You know, I say it all the time. You know, I think my Machinist Mint bike was probably one of the true bikes in the performance bagger world that went off of
with
the
race
path.
bearing.
Yeah,
Yep.
he went off the path to he carved another path. Right.
I remember where I was when I saw that bike.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like I was at Jake Highfield's house in his garage, and he said, "Look at this fucking fairing." Like,
Yeah.
I remember where I was. You know that bike left an imprint.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
when he did it, I mean, since then, now you know. I mean, he got the fairing idea from obviously the race bikes. It was like new stuff, but I mean, what he did in the bracketry he made was truly like one off and a subframe and all the shit. Like he made a lot of shit that hadn't really been done, and now it's becoming kind of mainstream in the scene now.
Yep.
In your mind, would that type of work like classify like a true build? It's just like getting parts, like
yes.
installing. Is there a differentiating here, like
I think that
aspect here too, like
Yes
a build?
and no.
You know,
like a build can be. There's a wide array. Like there's more serious builds and less serious. That's like a.
but
what he did
we're
is like
calling it a build.
full-on yeah. Like his bike is. That bike was almost like a trendsetter. Like that was like its own thing. You know,
which one?
the Mint bike.
Oh yeah.
Like that was like its own thing.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, when Ben had when Dwayne's bike, like when that green one came out, that was a pretty fucking wild build because that was a Trask assault bike. That was already a fucking super expensive
It
bike.
was already a super bike.
But then when Forever Rad went through it and kind of gave it like, I don't know, like
I thought
I don't want to say in any way that sounds like I'm talking shit about Trask, and I don't want to underplay
He gave
what
it
Kyle
personality.
did to it because it really did take it to another level. I mean, I heard guys from Trask like, "Oh, he just fucking repainted it." Like, no, dude, he went through the whole thing and like it. He did a lot.
He gave it a lot of flair to that bike.
Yeah,
He gave it a personality.
I guess I'm
Exactly.
curious because, like, you know, I'm my very little time in motorcycles, like I just gravitated towards the chopper shit
yeah.
quickly.
Well,
and it's like, okay, is it a chopper? What is a chopper? You know, and you talk to dudes or you go on whatever online. It's like, if it's not a hardtail, it's not a chopper. It's not a hardtail. If it's not a kickstart, it's not a chopper.
Well,
you know, you get into those discussions.
So
So
chopper
like,
guys
it's just
suck.
like, well, but I guess that's what I'm wondering and want to ask. It's like,
the
how much of that,
trying
like,
to anything, whether it's built, not bought, whatever, like all these like categories or these words that have like
the vocab,
different
yeah,
meanings
like-
to different people. It's like, you know, that's why when I say it, like I don't like to say I built this bike. I say I customized it, right?
and I'm more in line with that just because I've
Because, I mean,
noticed
in
the
a
other thing
sense-
is like a little problematic. you
Yeah,
know, or
I mean, there's
whatever.
always like you could be the guy that built everything on the bike, but you didn't fucking pour the rubber for the tires. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like some dude's gonna
Right.
go through 3 years of learning how to fucking make his own tires.
right.
There's always gonna be that fucking nerd level of shit, right? But
Shout out to
Respect, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shook Soda for that.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Austin.
Yeah.
For knowing where the rubber's poured.
yeah, so there's all these different levels to it. But you know, ultimately, I think that customizing a motorcycle is just in its inherent nature to whatever level should just be respected no matter how deep you are at it or I'm trying to catch my words here. So when a dude says, "Oh, that dude didn't build it," that's that dude's insecurity coming out of his fucking
obviously.
mouth.
I mean, it's easy to identify.
When that dude says,
Yeah, it
"Oh, well, I
happens.
don't," you know, like all those kind of negative comments are just somebody else's like insecurity words coming out of their fucking mouth, trying to justify something in their own head, and they're trying to get someone else to fucking be on their team,
Right.
right? Otherwise, like, why would you even say it? Like,
Right.
that's a badass bike, and it pulled up. If you don't like it, then don't say anything. If you like it, dude, it's pretty fucking rad. If the dude asks you, hey, what do you think about my bike? do you really want my opinion, or do you want me to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just want validation.
Do you want validation? You want me?
That's the other side of it, huh?
There's a lot of different words, but like the dudes, I mean, you'll hear it. It's like it's fucking little dick energy shit if you really think about it. If you're at a fucking bike event or at a bike night and some dude's just talking shit about someone else's build, I've done it before. I've been that guy. I have, and I'm saying this as a dude. Like I didn't feel good about what I said after I said it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't fucking move the needle.
And
or
not
move
everyone's
the
going to
stove.
recognize that they
Nobody
just did
gave a
that.
fuck.
You know?
Yeah. And if I have to explain my position on the shit fucking over 10 minutes and it's like it wasn't a good joke. You know what I'm saying?
Projecting some other weird shit.
Yeah.
No, I will say with that, there's kind of like I'm about to have a little dick energy, but like some of the stuff that I see, like what I'm trying to get is a lot of these shows I think are starting to turn into. I want people like fucking Dwayne to come and fucking put his bike in the show.
Yeah.
But what I'm starting to see is shops are starting to put their bikes in the show, and I'm like, man, there's 3 bikes in here from the same shop that all look the same. That's not really what I'm going for. Like, you know.
Well, I was told this a long time ago, and this is also the reason why I didn't put my bike in your show, is that I don't want to compete with my customers. So if I'm going to go try to win, before it used to be, if I'm going to go try to win this $40 trophy, now it's like, okay, well, I might be able to pawn this trophy and get some money back.
Yeah, melt that motherfucker down, dude.
But to me, if like you're a shop, I would rather be there and have my bikes be visibly seen.
100%.
But I want to support the guy who wants to get his bike to these levels. Mm-hmm. The place that a shop build needs to go to is like an invited show. It's like it's something maybe not for lack of a term, like on another scale of what a show is, or a different type of show. Mm-hmm. A ride-in bike show should be for the customers, the people that are having something done.
The guy that's paying to get that bike built at that
if you're a small shop trying to get your name off the ground, I get that.
Yeah.
But do you want to, if you're at your show and Trask pulls up with 4 fucking assault bikes, and you know what I mean? And then if he doesn't win, I don't know Nick, so I'm just going to say, Nick's, what if Nixon Dasso's like, dude, what the fuck, man? My bikes are better than all of them. I'm like, dude, I didn't expect that from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not that way, but I'm just saying, like, that's what it could be, you know? But at the end of the day, it's like if you're, I mean, when someone, I don't know, like there's just all these different fucking things with that shit. I don't know. Shows are important because it gives people a purpose to want to build something for it. But
I want people to be able to show off this fucking thing that they made.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing it. Like, I take a lot of pride in my bike. I don't have the fucking nicest bike around. I have a pretty nice, I have like a really nice gas station bike. You know, like people see at the gas station, they're like, that motherfucker's sick.
I like the analogy you make with the dogs and the bikes. That's
yeah, dude. Like I like dogs. Like inherently I like dogs, but I really only like my dogs. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I like motorcycles, but I really only like my bike.
Yeah.
But I want to fucking like take it out and show it off. That's what I want to give people the opportunity to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I spent all fucking winter doing this thing. Look at it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I want to go talk to that fucking dude about it and be like, what'd you do? You know?
And by creating that realm, that opportunity for people, it's like we get to all progress together. You know, it's not. It doesn't need to.
It doesn't need to be.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
To kind of play, I don't know if the word would be devil's advocate for this scenario, but when I was talking about how stoked and how cool our scene was, you know what we didn't have? We had no shows for performance baggers. We were just meeting up and hanging out and riding together at different events. And when the shows came, like when like the hardcore cycle show, like I don't think it's still around, but when it was, that was the show to go to in Daytona. That was the first show that really like showed off
the new stuff,
the performance motorcycle scene. Mm-hmm. And then it got so big, it never took like a foothold in Sturgis, but Daytona was just like fucking it, dude. Yeah. And over years, more higher end bikes started showing up to this thing. Next thing you know, you have $120,000 performance baggers showing up. And so all the kids on the black Road Glide with the turbo, who also have money in it, are talking shit. Yeah. They're talking shit online because that dude didn't ride here, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't. But it's like now you're in a parking lot bitching about somebody else in a parking lot. Yeah. You're both trailered there. Let's be fucking real. You know?
Piss real quick. I'll be right back.
All right.
Sorry.
Piss break.
Sorry. I'm like into this conversation, but I really have to be.
It's okay.
He's not. He's lying. How long are we right now?
3 hours on the dot.
All right. Probably wrap it up in 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Keep it
Fucking
chill.
rad. Thanks for having us.
Hell yeah. And have you ever had Waffle House?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think
They
so.
gotta experience some Southern hibachi.
I'm
dude.
trying to think of just everything. I told him, it's like, dude, you're gonna leave Dallas fat, dude.
Well, so I don't know. They may have had Waffle House in Phoenix, but I doubt it. Like that's.
I've heard the play. I just don't think I've ever had it.
Oh
had
yeah,
it,
no,
you know.
Southern hibachi is where it's at then.
Well, I told him, like, if you come to Dallas, the only thing we have to offer is food and drinking, and I can show you where JFK got shot.
Which is plenty, you know. It's only when you start comparing it to other places that it just doesn't seem like.
I'll say you got like the stockyards, in Fort Worth.
Want to go see some cows?
You got you've got Dealey Plaza. You've got really good barbecue and.
Speak to that. What would be your like top 2 spots barbecue?
Here we go.
I
In
guess.
Dallas, dude. I'm not going to fucking Maybank and all that bullshit. If I'm gonna go take them to
They're not
barbecue.
gonna be here long enough to go there anyways.
Yeah.
You would have to take them to like Hurtado's in like Arlington, because they're open every day of the week. Hutchins, you could take it, but you're gonna have to go to Frisco or McKinney.
Mm-hmm.
One of those would be phenomenal. Or you could go get a beef rib at Terry Black's.
So I was thinking about taking them to Terry Black's.
Beef
tomorrow
ribs, dude.
Dude, if you like beef ribs, go to
I
Terry
do.
Black's. It's
I
right
certainly
by
do.
Black Knight.
Yeah.
That's the spot.
So I was thinking about having like putting it in the group chat, letting everybody know we're gonna do like Terry Black's at like 5:30 or some shit.
Yeah.
Like a pre-bike night.
Yeah.
What were we arguing about?
Beef ribs.
Oh,
Tomorrow.
He was, so it's funny you asked the right person that because I'm like the barbecue.
I got snuck in a little like.
No, dude, like that's what I do. That's why he was so like,
Yeah.
oh god, this fucker. Because I have a list.
Yeah.
Literally.
I believe you.
They take
I believe
barbecue.
you.
Yeah. Serious.
Yeah.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Texas has their own like magazine that they put out, Texas Monthly. Every like 4 years, they do a top 50 in the entire state of Texas.
That's a healthy amount for the whole state.
I've probably been to
Right.
over 30 of them. That's not including the barbecue spots I go to that are not on the list.
Right.
And I just go and I review them.
Compare and contrast, dude.
I told him, like, I would like to know where all the best queso joints are. Like the
Dude, that-
best queso.
I had heard about this queso
You're-
situation. I had a good homie from Oklahoma, and he would speak to the queso, and I think it was kind of more of this
we
region.
got a situation with queso.
No, I just like
it. That's the conclusion. I have a conclusion, not a situation.
I feel like Southern Hibachi is a good spot.
Well, yeah, so I was saying, like, I told Devin that I told you guys, like, really all we have to offer is like food
and booze.
booze,
Yeah.
and like where JFK got shot. So,
Experiences.
At some point, you got to take them to Chewy's so they can have like some Tex-Mex.
so I took him to E-Bar, which is pretty decent.
good.
The Chewy's by the airport, they shut it down because they're opening up a new spot, so I couldn't take him to that one.
You know where you could take them? That's actually really good. Is Heim. Heim's in Dallas too.
What's that?
Heim barbecue.
Oh. Terry Black's is just easy. Yeah.
Beef rib. Had me a beef rib, dude.
Yeah. But no, we were talking about black roguelots.
No,
Still?
I think we were talking about how Texas doesn't have a scene. It all came from California.
Yeah.
And then-
We established that like hours ago.
no, I don't remember what the fuck we were at. But you were saying, I don't remember.
We were just talking about how like bike shows and
They can kind of be dangerous.
they are.
They're just everything about a bike show. I mean, I know you and me have talked about it. Everything about a bike show brings out the worst in you.
100%.
Yeah.
Because it's complete. Because people take it so serious, and then they feel either
Wronged.
because only one person's gonna win. So whoever it is, if it's not you, now you feel like whatever type of way. And you guys didn't do any shows. It was more, communist living, and you guys were just like, we're all just gonna fucking buy beer, and we're all gonna drink together. We're all gonna have campouts and eat each other's food.
Well, if
and
you take a bike
whatever.
show concept like what you guys do, I think that there can be two aspects of like value to the people, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that you're bringing people together, which is the most important thing. Like you're bringing people together to show off their work, to show off what they've envisioned and created, whether that's with their own hands or with their money. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, because either way, they're fucking putting back into the industry to make it. If people don't buy those parts, those brands don't exist. There's no money in the industry. It doesn't work, right? but more so, it's like if you get people to meet each other, have a conversation, maybe things will happen. Maybe they'll, hey, dude, I really fuck with you. Like, you know, like I've been wanting to do this to my bike. You know, you did it. Well, he's like, well, hey, come by the house, dude. We'll throw those fucking T-bars on over the weekend or some shit, you know?
That's how fucking Dwayne came into our circle.
Yeah.
We were all, I think I was drunk somewhere, and Dwayne and Porky were at a show by themselves out of Rockford Fosgate. It was a V-Twin Visionary show. And Dwayne and Porky were just like the only two there with like their kind of bikes. There was like Danny G and other guys like that, but Dwayne and Pork were like the regular dudes that were there.
Yeah.
And they hit it off, you know? And then we meet Pork for dinner, and he's like, hey, everybody meet Dwayne. You know, hi Dwayne, like kind of that kind of shit. But that's bringing people together is how that happened. You know, like
so if people come to that and look for that, and you don't have a lot of people being standoffish, then I think that they're gonna. Oh, I'm fine.
Well, you're gonna get it because there's only 2 left. I'm just gonna send it your way.
I'm starting to like have like little halfers.
I'm just sending it your way.
You guys got it down so smooth now.
It only took 6 of them.
Well, I got a question. I mean, you've kind of seen this in action in terms of the bike show.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how you guys would take it. Through one of our connects at the dealerships, a good friend of his is like a tech dude. And they started working together on a bike night, and they were running the bike show with like QR codes. So the idea is you slap a QR code on the bike, and there's a TV with a live feed. So you see a leaderboard on the TV without the results. It's just like who's in first place, second place, like that.
It's pretty cool.
And then it kind of moves up and down depending on the votes.
Yeah.
And it tells you the name of the person and then the model of the bike, you know, and it could potentially give you a little more.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and rotate and do a whole lot of shit on the screen, not just like rank, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you go around and like this was ideal for like people's choice type situation. And you go around, you scan in your favorite vote
And this dude's even got it figured out to the point that like people were trying to cheat his system, and he was tracking where the votes were coming from. So like 13 votes were coming from
like
people
coding
that weren't
on the
there.
spot.
Yeah, like he's doing it on the
Shout
spot. So
out
like
Motor
guys
Vote.
were basically taking pictures of it and then sending it to their friends who weren't there and having them vote.
Yeah.
And he was able to account for that and discredit
See,
those votes.
motorcycle shows bring out the worst in people.
100%, dude.
The fact that somebody would do that, like,
Dude,
get a fucking life, bro.
But it's kind of like the same thing as like go vote for my bike right now. You know, it's like, well, there's just a different scenario, you know. But
So I did a podcast. I think the last one I went out was the Bob K one.
Yeah.
And Bob K used to, I mean, he's OG in it, and he actually put on bike shows at IMS, and he has a criteria thing that he deals with. Because in his world, there would be rad to the nines Hayabusas, Suzukis, choppers, and baggers that all fall in the same category because of the level of customization done to them. So instead of classify the bikes by like
class,
Dyna,
type,
Sportster, this, it's like street custom or whatever. It's like modified to this level. And it's like, I mean, it gets kind of fishy because most of the time you're not going to, if you're having a Harley show or if you're doing a show somewhere, you're not going to get a lot of sport bikes coming in to,
That
you know,
crowd,
compete into certain shows. But at a show like what he did, that was kind of the situation. The issue, in my opinion, the issue is the only drawback I would have with that is that like, if you put everything on the table, someone can have the product or have the paint job, but is it good? You know, yes, he has the check mark custom
Just
paint.
being critical about each.
Does it look good? Is it quality? Like,
is it to the same standard as this other one?
I mean, is it like has paint but shitty?
Yeah.
Better.
Where does it
good,
rank?
Yeah.
That's how like Michael from Fishtails has. It's pretty cool how he does his judging because he has it broken down like that,
Yeah.
and it has subcategories for that. Like custom paint's an option, and then there's a ranking on that.
Yeah. So that's how, like, so in the lowrider stuff that we used to do back in the day, that's how it was, you know, and you would have people that would just get the sheet and they would just do it.
Cheat it.
I want pinstriping in the wheel wells. I need airbrush under the hood, but it was all garbage, but they checked all these boxes and that's how they're
More
supposed to be able to
points,
win.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can see,
Yeah.
Oh, it brings out the worst in people, don't it?
Yeah. But, I mean,
I mean, it's good
And
to
that's-
be invested in your project, you know. But then, like, to come and that's where it turns into like something else, you know.
yeah, just let's do the shipped or run.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then each night, like you just give an award away to the dude of the day
Yeah.
or chick. But
I
let's
want
be-
to do like what is it like like I want to do like a Grand Prix where like you got to race your bike and then you got to drink the most beer and then you got to have the coolest bike. Like that's what we're getting.
Because then it's about the person, you know. It's not so much about the bike.
We're gonna have a time deal, and then you got to be able to
y'all need to bring
beer.
back the club style games. Like y'all need to do.
Maybe we do that. We could bring beer pong into this. You know, like
don't get me started. The old Don King of the memes will come out.
Dude, I'll have fucking time trials. We'll get this motherfucker done, dude. Performance bagger. I want to see some performance riders come around this motherfucker.
I had so much fun with the club style games before the actual event because literally I made so many friends just from talking shit on the internet about that. Like it was.
That looked pretty cool.
Like
that looked pretty cool when you guys were doing that.
I mean, it was wild. I mean, it was a 1 year and done thing. I don't think anybody wanted to compete for it the next year.
Everybody asked me when we were gonna start, and
nobody ever reached out to me and said they wanted to be a part of the club style games the second year.
That might be something I try to do. That was like a triple crown of like shit like that.
Yeah,
or do a 2-day event. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we just like thought. I mean, it was like something was going around called the games or something like that, and I just like what we did the
it was
club
like the X Games or Turn of the Club Style Games.
Something, or it was King of something or whatever. Maybe it was King of the Baggers. I was King of the Club Style was how we kind of then it just turned into club style games.
I remember it started like talking about who was gonna bring the most people to the camp out. I remember that happened, and then it was like.
Well, I used to say that like all these club style pages.
And I did remember you talking shit about that.
Like if you started, like what are you doing in the community? Are you just trying to repost shit so you can have your own personal gain, and or are you actually representing the state, city, or subdivision, whatever it is?
I'm tired of like repost pages I've never made. Like, sweet dude, you just built credit off of somebody else's fucking bike.
I feel like the repost page is kind of like died a little bit. Like I don't see.
I think I unfollowed them, which is why I don't see them. But.
Well, I don't even see that many more club style. I feel like most of the people that started a club style page, they're over it. Like it's a lot of work to run a page where you just like have to constantly engage with people, like reaching out to you, posting shit.
But I think also that kind of died with the Dyna thing because most of those club style pages were Dyna.
That's true. Yeah. It was club style Dynas. Like, it's kind of what it was.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That mate came out and just killed that.
The baggers came out and they said, "Oh, Daniel Proper Baggers already got that locked the fuck up."
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of fun to be had in motorcycles, but you kind of got to get off the internet and you got to go
ride your motorcycle.
You got to go ride it somewhere. You got to go, be open-minded to like guys like you are on a Pan Am. Like they can't be like, oh, fuck, dude, this dude's a Pan Am guy. He's not like us. You know what I mean? So it's like.
That was cool about the Fast Life camp out. Like when you went, like it doesn't matter. Same thing with bike night. Like nobody gives a shit what you ride in on.
Yeah.
Like I remember going at the Fast Life camp out. Dudes would show up on Gold Wings.
Yeah.
That's fucking tight. Yeah.
But they rode from.
He brought me a lot of.
I kind of want one, dude.
Yeah.
He brought me a lot of mushrooms. I still have a jar. Yeah.
Yeah.
He brought me 2 fucking mason jars full of mushrooms that were this big. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, these dudes ride down on a Gold Wing, and he's like, one of my, I want to say it was from like Minnesota, and he was like, all right.
No, he's from Virginia, I believe.
Well, I do know I know there's that guy too.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I don't know. It's it's just a lot of cool shit we could do. And honestly, if you look back, if you go and look back, like all those magazines at my house, you flip through them, you see like, oh, this was the so and so run. I'm like, dude, that looks badass. You read the article, like it's like there's nothing new, but there can be like new twists to old ideas.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%.
And so
kind of something I think we're fighting with performance baggers right now. They're all catalog bikes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the issue is like whoever's putting the most money into it is going to have the coolest bike.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I'm trying to get away from, but I don't know how to do that yet.
I mean, it's like, hey, you build a racetrack, motherfuckers gonna come race. So it's like,
true
that. That's why people like Dwayne so much, though, because
Dwayne don't give a fuck.
Goes everywhere on the bike.
Dwayne's a prototype,
bro. That dude showed up to Chopper Fest this year. I'm like, bro, this is a 1-day event in Ventura. He was there from El Paso. Didn't care. That dude just goes.
Yeah.
I see him everywhere. Saw him at Four Corners. Didn't know he was gonna be there. Ran into him. Like, he's doing it. He's doing the thing.
Yeah, like I said, he's a prototype. He's kind of like the ideal way of like enjoying a custom motorcycle. Yeah, go to the show, go to the fun stuff, but Dwayne's not like nerding out like, oh, I got to win this trophy. And if he does or doesn't win a trophy, he's still the same guy.
He's like a got bike will travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got money, will buy bike.
A fucking polar ride. He was in Austin this past weekend. Like,
Him and Dyna Dick are the only people that have showed up and won 2 of my trophies on 2 different bikes.
Yeah.
Like he won the first ever performance class that we had with that.
Hell yeah.
That green road glide. And Dyna Dick won an event there as well. And then he has some fucking monster that he won the West Coast Classic best overall with. But it was 2 different bikes. And I was like,
the M8 killer.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck that thing is, but it's cool. But yeah, Dwayne's getting it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if people, you know, like here's the thing, and Joe Kidd said this all the time. Sometimes people have the money, they ain't got the time. And there's guys out there that have the time and they got the money. So the guy that's bitching about the guy that won the bike show because he has more money and it has the time, but he ain't got the money. And the guy that sometimes, and I've met a lot of these guys that have a lot of money to spend on their bikes, but they always say, man, I live vicariously through what you're doing, because they want to get out on a bike and travel, but their life, their career, their whatever locks them in to like not be able to just be like, hey, I'm gonna jump on a bike for 2 weeks and go into fucking, you know, Bay Area at the Auto Fest. You know what I mean? So setting up your life to be able to enjoy motorcycles is almost as important, if not more important, than if you got the new swing arm from said brand. You know what I mean? Because there was a homie, fucking homeboy. Sorry, I'm slipping his name because these Lone Stars. They rode down from San Jose and kicked it with us all Born Free Texas.
Oh yeah, Mason Steed.
Yeah, Mason. Dude rode down from San Jose all the way, came to our pre-party at bike night. It ended up being his birthday. Hung out with us, and I'm like, dude, where are you staying at? He goes, I don't know. I'm like, you're staying in my house. Let's go.
Yeah, like,
and party with us the entire weekend. It's like, that's the coolest shit in the world. He didn't come in there like asking for anything, but he was just there. He showed up. He was fucking being present. He wasn't trying to, nobody's talking to me. He was making himself like a part of what's going on in a very, very respectful way, not like being wild and fucking obnoxious.
That's like Trevor was telling me he ran into you at like Waffle House.
Yes. The blue bike. We all went back there that night and he was there. I was like,
what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Yep. That was the dude that was telling Dan, like, he's been to all the shows and was breaking down the differences. Like, fucking rad, dude. He came with us yesterday. He was at the fucking event up at Temecula and then came out with me and all my guys and rode fucking canyons with us. And then rode back to fucking Arizona. Hung out with us till like 3.
No biggie, you know?
No biggie. I was like, damn, dude,
that's cool shit,
doing
man.
it. Yeah.
That's what's cool. I mean, if you like, I think it's cooler to do. I think it's not cooler. I think it's rewarding to do it on a custom motorcycle because you have a vivid experience of like visually seeing and being a part of it. And it's kind of easy to be remembered.
Yeah.
You know, it's the bright blue fucking road glide.
Yeah. Road King with a FXR.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But that's so cool, dude, that we can all have, or we've all had those moments. That's what it's about, and identifying it. It's like, you know, it's like this connection, like down to the core, like human shit.
Yeah.
In this, you know, motorcycle.
Like I said, the more of us that talk and shoot the shit, and the more of us that try to like weed out the negative experiences and throw more gas on the positive ones, it just makes everything better.
It's PMA, dude, all day.
Yeah, positive mental attitude.
100%.
All day.
Which I'm still working on all the time.
Dude, easier said than done, man.
The rest of the night, when these mics get off, we're going to bitch about all the shit that's going on.
Shit
Is this over yet? Can I start bitching? Yeah.
All right, well.
3.5 hours, huh?
Was that
3 hours and 19.
Fuck yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Us.
The token tiger, dude.
Clink, clink.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.